Chapter 1188. In the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment, thousands of winged Mara flew around, letting out deafening roars. Outside the hall, blood flowed everywhere. Xiao, Sun Feng and the others were all injured, but in order to protect the Hall of Great Accomplishment, they still fought to the death. Pooh! The sky that was originally shrouded in blood clouds was suddenly torn open, and a person descended from the sky. Behind him was a huge image of the mad god Dharma body. With a devastating attack, hundreds of Mara were instantly torn apart. The seven luminaries' demon emperor's speed was extremely fast, and he landed on the blood-stained steps in front of the Hall of Great Accomplishment like lightning. He bent his body slightly and light swirled in his left palm. This was the prelude to the attack of the seven glorious stars. Demon Emperor! Xiao cried tears of joy. Sun Feng, Qingping and the others also knelt down. Demon Emperor, you are finally back. The seven luminaries' demon emperor gritted his teeth. This debt is not settled yet. In the next moment, the spirit mountain began to tremble. Rays of starlight seeped out from the surface of the mountain, transforming into the power of the stars that blasted towards the sky. Instantly, the two-winged devil Luo's screams rang out. Just a single seven glorious stars transformation had actually cleared out almost all of the devil Luos in the starry sky. In the sky, Mara's broken body continued to fall, as if it was raining blood. However, the seven luminaries' demon emperor looked at the hundreds of steps in the Hall of Great Accomplishment, and saw the corpses of the Eastern Heaven Realm cultivators everywhere. His heart sank. Although he killed thousands of Mara, the Eastern Heaven Realm clearly suffered more. How many of us died? Asked the seven luminaries' demon emperor. Xiao said faintly, there are about 100,000 crippled gods in the Eastern Heaven Realm, and the dead account for about 70% of them. So many? Demon Emperor murmured. It's all my fault. If it wasn't to avoid Skylaw's punishment, perhaps I wouldn't have to be trapped in 8 Wasteland Realm, let alone let Eastern Heaven Realm suffer such a heavy blow. Sun Feng said, Your Majesty, we are willing to sacrifice ourselves for the Eastern Heaven Realm, you don't have to blame yourself. But don't worry. Now that I'm back, I won't let the demon realm encroach on my domain. The seven luminaries' demon emperor lightly shook his fists and said in a low voice, I will find a way to remove the heavenly punishment, and I will also search for the secrets of the Mahayana heavenly path so that you can regain your true god bodies as soon as possible. Yes, thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone knelt down one after another. There were at least 10,000 Eastern Heaven Realms crippled gods around the Hall of Great Accomplishment. They were almost all the elites of the Eastern Heaven Realm. At this moment, the faint sound of thunder came from the sky, and a huge figure descended from the sky. It was an image condensed from telekinesis, with white hair and a youthful complexion. It was Fushi. Xiao, Sun Feng and the others seemed to know Fushi. They quickly knelt down and said respectfully, Xiao, Sun Feng greets Your Majesty. Everyone knelt down again, only the seven luminaries' demon emperor stood proudly on the blood-stained steps, raised his eyebrows and said, Heavenly Emperor Fushi, how did you become a heavenly emperor? The 6 realms are in trouble but you did nothing. Fushi smiled gently and said, It's not that I did nothing but the things that I could do were too little. With my lifetime's cultivation and the abilities of the 4 great disciples of the Sun, Moon and Stars Palace, I could only guard the metal realm, so that the heavenly melody scroll could enter the 6 realms. 7 luminaries demon emperor, your mission and mine are different. I need to guard the metal realm, while you need to sweep away all the demons of the god realm in the 6 realms. What do you mean? Fushi said, I just received news that you obtained the title of Mahayana Heavenly Tao, so I rushed here immediately. I hope you can go to the Northern Heaven Realm immediately. There, the former divine King Dongming and 70,000 soldiers are trapped in Dark Castle. Nearly 100,000 demons are attacking them, and only you can save them. Are you kidding me? The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled. Dongming and I have always been sworn enemies. Now that Dongming sent Yangshang to the mortal realm with the celestial race's army, so many of Yangshang's people turned into demons, I haven't even settled this debt yet, and now you want me to save Dongming? That's impossible. I know better than anyone what kind of person Dongming is. Fushi smiled. That's right, Dongming is a person who thirsts for power, but there is still kindness in the depths of his heart. The 4 celestial realms are already in trouble, and only by forming an alliance can we resist the invasion of the powerful demon realm. I can also tell you another piece of news. The Heavenly Sound Scroll has already acknowledged Dongming's potential. Soon it will naturally give Dongming the title of Mahayana Heavenly Tao. As long as you help him, Dongming will definitely be grateful to you and ally with your army to resist the power of the demon realm together. Is the demon realm that powerful? Only more powerful. A mere Mingshi can hold me back, and the overall strength of the demon realm is more than 10 times that of a Mingshi. Take Mara for example. In the demon realm, Mara's army numbers in the tens of millions. Do you think you can stop them all by yourself? The 7 luminaries demon emperor took a deep breath, feeling a chill in his heart and said, "Then what benefits does it bring me to form an alliance with Dongming?" Well, Fushi did not say anything. The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled. I understand now. Actually, you gods from the realm beyond heaven still have a certain amount of power to influence the heavenly melody scroll, right? At least, the heavenly melody scroll is activated by the power of you 3 ancestral gods. Since you want me to form an alliance with Dongming, I have a condition. I want you to use your own power to influence the heavenly melody scroll, and let Xiao step into the Mahayana heavenly Tao as soon as possible. Demon Emperor. Xiao was a little moved. Fushi remained silent. After calculating with his fingers, he smiled. There's no need for me to control it. Within a month, Xiao Fairy will definitely step into the Mahayana heavenly Tao. Alright, that's all I have to say. You can decide what to do. With that said, Fushi's figure instantly turned illusory and disappeared. Humph, the gods from the realm beyond heaven, all of them come and go as they please. The 7 luminaries demon emperor clenched his fists. Xiao said, Demon Emperor, what do we do now? You guys, stay and rebuild the Hall of Great Accomplishment. I want to enter the other spirit mountains and kill all the Mara who invaded the Eastern Heaven Realm. Then I will go to the Northern Heaven Realm alone and save Dongming. I want to see what kind of achievements this uncouth Dongming has. Yes, I understand. Demon Realm, Fecta Temple. Demon General Ziyan, who was holding the god-destroying tower, stood majestically in the cold wind. Looking at the huge Fecta Temple, he felt an endless amount of power flowing into his body. He had reached an unprecedentedly powerful realm. He could not help but burst into laughter. Now I am the strongest in the demon realm. Two-winged Mara, shouldn't you all be loyal to me? In the sky, the black mass of two-winged Mara flew at an extremely fast speed like a rolling dark cloud. They all made a prostrating posture. They only respected the strongest. Since the god-destroying tower was in the hands of Ziyan, he was naturally the strongest. Right at this moment, a person parted the crowd of Moro and walked over. Her body was suffused with a faint demonic flame, and she held an exquisite battle axe in her hand. It was a woman, an enchanting woman from the devil world. The armor she wore was like a snake that coiled around her beautiful and delicate body. Her slender, snow-white legs were suffused with an intoxicating glow in the night sky. By Feng Holy King? Ziyan was taken aback, but he smiled. The god-destroying tower in his hand floated in layers and was enshrouded in a majestic radiance. Now that the god-destroying tower is in my hands, do you plan to resist me? The corner of Bai Feng's mouth curled up. The ancient demon emperor is cultivating underground and can come up at any time. Do you really think that you can rule the entire demon realm with just the god-destroying tower? Can't I? Ziyan burst into laughter. Then I'll let you experience it. As he spoke, Ziyan suddenly bent his body towards the ground and roared. The god-destroying pagoda in his hand shone brightly as he bellowed, so what if you hide it well? If the god-destroying pagoda can create your throne, then it can destroy you. Boom. The light illuminated the entire sky. The god-destroying pagoda was enshrouded in dense energy. It transformed into layers of energy ripples as it smashed towards the ground. A beam of light penetrated through the surface of the earth and went straight into the earth's core, pointing straight towards the location where the ancient devil emperor was cultivating. Boom. The entire ground shook violently. Even the southern corner of the Fecta Palace started to collapse. The screams of Mara and the others were incessant. Ziyan, are you crazy? Bai Feng roared. Do you want to destroy the entire demon realm? Ziyan sneered. Bai Feng, Holy King, aren't you very loyal to the ancient demon emperor? Don't you think it's time for you to change masters? Call me master, and I'll consider sparing your life after killing the ancient demon emperor. You. Bai Feng trembled in anger. At this moment, within the majestic radiance of the god-destroying tower, a person was forcefully sucked out from the ground. Under the baptism of the radiance, his body curled up and trembled as he screamed. It was the ancient demon emperor. The once insufferably arrogant demon had no way to retaliate against the power of the god-destroying pagoda. Ziyan, you bastard! Bai Feng bellowed. His palm conjured a raging flame and he launched a sneak attack at Ziyan. Unfortunately, the palm energy was dispersed by the radiance of the God-destroying tower when it was 3 meters away from Ziyan. The God-destroying tower was the ultimate divine weapon of the demon realm. Not only could it kill gods and Buddhas, it could also protect its user from harm. Do you really want to be my enemy? Ziyan suddenly turned around, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Bai Feng took a few steps back. His beautiful face was filled with fear. He did not speak anymore and stood in the air with his head lowered. Ziyan looked at the ancient demon emperor under the radiance of the God-destroying tower and couldn't help but sneer. For thousands of years I have been obedient to you, but you have never thought of raising my status in the demon realm. You have given all the purest darkness raw stones to Bai Feng, Qilin, and the other holy kings, but you have never thought of me. Today I will use your most beloved divine weapon to kill you personally. Under the bone-piercing radiance, the ancient demon emperor's body had already started to change shape. He roared angrily, Ziyan, you bastard who deceived your master and destroyed your ancestors. Aha, you just realized? Ziyan roared, and the radiance of the God-destroying tower increased. Instantly, the ancient demon emperor's body exploded in the air, and the fragments of his body turned into streaks of starlight. Ziyan had already flown forward, opened his mouth, and sucked in the remaining demonic aura of the ancient demon emperor. Instantly, his body trembled violently and blood-colored scales grew on his skin. The radiance in his eyes became even brighter. With the help of the God-destroying tower, Ziyan had devoured at least 50% of the ancient demon emperor's cultivation. The fights between people in the demon realm were much crueler than those in the celestial realm and the mortal realm. Bai Feng slowly knelt on the ground and muttered while crying, Your Majesty, Demon Emperor, I am useless. Ziyan's eyes were filled with disdain. His current cultivation was already above Bai Feng's. He said indifferently, Two-winged Mara, search the mountains and find the location of Shiyen and Eva, then report to me. Yes. In the sky, the tens of thousands of two-winged Mara scattered in the blink of an eye. Bai Feng, the Holy King, wore a small white cloak. He stood up and said, Ziyan, Demon Emperor, what are your orders? Ziyan's lips curled up and he smiled. I have not tasted the taste of a woman in the demon realm, especially a woman of the Holy King's level. Tonight you shall sleep with me. Ah. Bai Feng was shocked. Ziyan's eyes were ferocious as he laughed loudly. Look at how scared you are. I have no interest in women. Don't worry, you just have to listen to my orders. I won't touch you. I am a good demon. Bai Feng. Chapter 1189. Amidst the mountains in an inconspicuous cave, Shiyen hugged a broken sword tightly as she vomited blood continuously. That attack from the god-destroying pagoda had almost taken her life, but Shiyen didn't feel depressed at all. Instead, her face was filled with indescribable joy. She caressed the stains on the broken sword as streams of god power seeped into the weapon. Instantly, the blazing angel's power drew out the primordial spirit in the broken sword. Swish! Eva's primordial spirit floated out. It looked exactly the same as before, but it was much more haggard. Sister Hyen. The moment Eva saw Shiyen, her face was already filled with tears. Shiyen gently raised her hand as if touching her face and said, I'm late, I've made you suffer. Hey baby, tell me what happened? The demon realm broke through the seal of the 6 realms. The moment I barged into the seal, I was captured by the ancient demon emperor. It was done by the ancient demon emperor himself? Eva, I will think of a way to revive you. I will find a perfect body for you and reconstruct your spirit lattice. Don't worry. No. Eva muttered, Sister Hyen, my primordial spirit is too weak. The ancient demon emperor had refined almost half of my god power and converted my power into the energy of the god-destroying pagoda. My current primordial spirit is no longer enough to reconstruct my spirit lattice. Don't worry, you still have me. If I say it's possible, then it's possible. Shiyen gritted her teeth and said, Rest for a while first. I will find a chance to bring you out of the demon realm. It will be much safer when we reach the 6 realms. I will also have a chance to revive you. But, the ancient demon emperor will not let us off. Don't worry. The immemorial demon emperor is dead. He was killed by that lunatic Ziyan. Shiyen looked out of the cave and said, If my guess is wrong, the other 3 holy emperors of the demon realm will definitely come to avenge the eternal demon emperor. Once they fight with Ziyan, we will have already left the demon realm during the chaos. Alright then, I'll follow elder sister's arrangements. Alright, you should rest quickly and recover your strength. Alright. As Shi Yan had expected, the Fecta Sacred Hall was already in a mess before daybreak. Countless demonic auras flew toward the Fecta Sacred Hall from afar. They were densely packed and countless. The other 3 Saint Emperors of the demon world had already brought their armies to suppress the Fecta Sacred Hall. The powerful demon world had many internal conflicts. With the death of the ancient demon emperor, the demon world had become leaderless. Although Ziyan had the god-destroying pagoda, he was still too inexperienced. No one would think highly of a mere demon general. In the sky above the Fecta temple, Ziyan was hugging the god-destroying pagoda. Behind him were Bai Feng, the other 2 holy kings, and countless Mara troops. They represented the power of the Fecta temple. In front of them the world was filled with Mara. The other 3 holy emperors also appeared in their field of vision. They were Jianghu Holy Emperor of Destruction, and Skirich Holy Emperor. Each of them had unfathomable cultivation, but they shared a common weakness. They were afraid of the god-destroying pagoda. None of them had the power to resist the god-destroying pagoda, but at the same time, they were unwilling to submit to the demon general Ziyan. Ziyan. Skirich Holy Emperor's huge body rolled over. His lower body flowed like a black river and he held a huge sword in his hand. Are you the one who killed the ancient demon emperor? Yes. Ziyan nodded and smiled. Skirich Holy Emperor narrowed his eyes. What exactly do you want to do? Unify the demon world? Yes, so what? Skirich Holy Emperor couldn't help but burst into laughter. You're just a demon general. Even if you have the god-destroying pagoda, can you really unify the demon world? Let me tell you, black is black and white is white. Do you think a god-destroying pagoda can change your status as a demon general and make you a demon emperor? Can't I? Ziyan's smile was filled with ruthlessness. The god-destroying pagoda's energy had recovered and he could use it again. With a roar, he took out the divine weapon. Instantly, a majestic light descended from the sky and turned into a huge tarot that enveloped Skirich Holy Emperor's body. Skirich Holy Emperor screamed in pain. He quickly opened his palms and roared, "Demonic chi control, break for me." Streams of fiery red energy revolved rapidly and resisted the god-destroying pagoda. Skirich Holy Emperor's reputation as one of the 4 holy emperors was not undeserved. However, how could a single person resist the power of the entire demon world? In the blink of an eye, Skirich Holy Emperor's arm broke. He spat out blood and lost consciousness. His body started to shatter. At the same time he died, the power and essence in his body turned into demonic chi and was absorbed by Ziyan crazily. This time he could only absorb about 30% of Skirich Holy Emperor's power. Although he had the god-destroying pagoda to protect him, the powerful power still surged. Ziyan's skin burst open and blood flowed continuously. He looked like a devil. Bathed in the blood of Skirich Holy Emperor, he laughed loudly. He was in pain and excitement. He looked at Jianghu Holy Emperor and World Destroyer Holy Emperor with a ferocious gaze and roared, "Do you see that? This is the result of resisting me. I have already devoured the eternal demon emperor's power. Now, with the addition of Skirich Holy Emperor's power, do you think that my power is weaker than you? You are looking down on me too much." Ah. As he spoke, he licked the blood at the corner of his mouth. Ziyan continued, "Even though Eternal Demon Emperor has such a powerful god-destroying pagoda, he did not devour you. You should be glad that Eternal Demon Emperor is kind-hearted. Of course I am also kind-hearted. As long as the 2 of you swear loyalty to me, I will let you go. How about it?" Jianghu Holy Emperor clenched his fists. His body trembled but he did not speak. Very soon, he and God's destroying Holy Emperor knelt down together and said, "The 2 of us are willing to swear loyalty to you." Ziyan laughed loudly. "Now what should you call me?" "Ziyan Demon Emperor." "Oh no, Ziyan Ancestor Emperor." "Haha, that's more like it." Ziyan laughed sinisterly. "In the past everyone looked down on me. Now I want everyone to be afraid of me. I want everyone in the world to be afraid of me. I want the whole world to be under my feet." World-destroying Holy Emperor and Jianghu Holy Emperor looked at each other and saw worry in each other's eyes. Originally, Eternal Demon Emperor had planned to use the power of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Eva to forge the god-destroying pagoda into a perfect divine weapon. By then, no one in the world would be able to resist the god-destroying pagoda. However, he was killed before he could complete all this. Although the god-destroying pagoda was powerful, it was not invincible. Ziyan's greed had caused chaos in the demon world. At the same time, it seemed to have given the Mahayana Heavenly Tao a chance to retaliate. The starlight dimmed. Among the mountains a figure flew away. It was Shiyen. She had already brought Eva's primordial spirit away from this ominous place as soon as possible. The longer they stayed in the demon world, the more danger they would be in. Behind them, a row of winged Mara screeched as they chased after them. However, their screeches did not attract Ziyan's attention. Ziyan was only concerned about establishing his might in front of the demons and had completely forgotten about Shiyen and Eva. In reality, Ancestor Ziyan, who had devoured 2 holy emperors consecutively and possessed the god-destroying pagoda, did not care about Shiyen and Eva at all. Even if Shiyen and Eva were at their peak, Ancestor Ziyan was confident that he could kill them within 10 moves. He indeed had the ability to do so. The power of the god-destroying pagoda was far beyond ordinary people's imagination. At the seal of the 6 realms, Shiyen, who was flying at full speed, was like a ray of cold light. As she flew into the Chaos Realm, she did not stop and flew towards the spirited mountain plain in the distance. Eva's primordial spirit's voice came from the broken sword. "Sister Hyen, where are you going?" "The Western Divine Realm." "What? That's our home, and the Western Divine Realm has long been massacred by Mara's army. There are no humans or gods now. The demon world will not expect us to hide in the Western Divine Realm. Your body needs a large amount of light god power to reconstruct. As long as I can find the light origin stone in the Western Divine Realm, I have the confidence to reconstruct your body. Can't you feel it, Eva? The nomological power is recovering rapidly. The heavenly Tao that belongs to us has returned. Yes, it's the Mahayana heavenly Tao. Yes, don't talk. Rest well. I'm here for anything. Yes." At night, the Red Rock City's marshal's residence was quiet. It was rare that it did not snow. Lin Muyu stood in the courtyard, cultivating the star technique. His body glowed with faint starlight, as if he was plated with a layer of light. He was cultivating while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were brewing tea. The night was long and no one was in the mood to sleep. Many things seemed to have happened in the heaven realm. Tang Xiaoxi looked up at the sky and pursed her lips. The energy fluctuations are very strong, but we can't see it. The heavenly melody scroll might have become a god in the heaven realm. Xiaoxi, you're an orthodox god. Even you can't see it? Qin Yin was surprised. Yes, the nomological power of the Mahayana heavenly Tao is different. At this moment, Tang Xiaoxi suddenly opened her mouth and said, "Not good, something is coming. Mu, be careful." As she said that, Tang Xiaoxi's graceful body was already in the air. A flame descended from the sky. Shua, Tang Xiaoxi blocked it in the air. With a strong impact, she crashed into the ground. Just before she landed, Tang Xiaoxi forcefully resisted this force. A huge ice crystal appeared in her hands. "What is this?" Lin Muyu flew forward and asked. Behind her, a golden figure appeared. It was the 7 luminaries demon emperor. He smiled and said, "It's a demon shadow crystal." "Brother demon emperor." Lin Muyu was surprised. You ascended to the Mahayana heavenly Tao?" "Yes." The demon emperor nodded with a smile. "Are you long time no see? This is a Mahayana divine crystal. I asked Nuwa for it on your behalf. It can sense the power of the demon realm. Once someone from the demon realm approaches, it will glow. At the same time, it will be mixed with the nomological power of the Mahayana heavenly Tao. You can see the names of the orthodox gods of the Mahayana heavenly Tao in the crystal." "Oh." Lin Muyu reached out and wiped the crystal. Indeed, there were 2 golden names in the depths of the crystal. One was Tang Xiaoxi, and the other was the 7 luminaries demon emperor. "That's great. I can't stay any longer. I still have things to do. You have to work hard." "Yes." The 7 luminaries demon emperor came and left quickly. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. "Mad God." Tang Xiaoxi pursed her red lips and said, "His avatar is stronger than mine." Chapter 1190. The return of the 7 luminaries demon emperors meant that the heaven realm would have a brand new structure. However, there were not many changes in the mortal world. The celestial pole continent still maintained the structure of the 3 empires. Moreover, the 2 higher gods, Tang Xiaoxi and Wu Chang, maintained the confrontation between the north and the south. There would probably not be any changes in the short term. The only change was that the heavenly sound scroll seemed to be very stingy with the quota for the Mahayana heavenly Tao. On the contrary, the Book of Godhood was not stingy. Within a short month, another 3 people in the celestial pole continent obtained demonic bodies and were conferred the title of demon god. On the 29th of April, Sima Jin of the Yangshang army ascended to become a first-grade medium demon god and obtained the title of nightmare demon god. For this, Yangshang held a banquet for 3 days and 3 nights to entertain his officials. On the 4th of May, another person in the Yangshang army obtained a demonic body. It was Lin of the North, a third-grade medium god. He obtained the title of Demon God Destroyer and was immediately promoted to captaincy by Yangshang. On the 27th of May, another person in the Celestial Empire obtained a demonic body. Moreover, it was a third-grade higher god. His name was Mao Yu. He was an executioner of the Heaven's End Corps. Mao Yu had killed countless people and had a good reputation among the executioners. On the day he transformed into a demon god, he killed his wife and son in a fit of rage. In the end, Qin Yu did not punish him with the empire's constitution. Instead, he was promoted to deputy commander of the empire. Although a third-grade higher god was inferior to Tang Xiaoxi and Wu Chang, it was too important to the Celestial Empire. It was practically a life-saving straw. On the 4th of June, the sound of war drums reverberated across the celestial pole continent again. With Wu Chang as commander and Sun Shi as military advisor, the Yangshang army mobilized 400,000 soldiers to attack Shiping City. The army set off on the same day and headed straight for Shiping City. The military report arrived at Shiping Prefecture early in the morning. At this time, Feng Jixing and the others did not need to be secretive. They set up a sand table in the conference hall of Shiping Prefecture and discussed countermeasures. Is the Winged Army's investigation true? Feng Jixing leaned over the map and asked after a careful look. Qian Feng, who was wearing the marshal's cloak, nodded and said, "The scouts of the Wing tribe are all my trusted subordinates and can definitely be trusted. This time Yangshang has mobilized almost all of their forces. There are 120,000 steel cavalry, 200,000 infantry and 80,000 archers and siege troops. In addition, Wu Shang is personally supervising the battle. Sima Jin and Lin of the North are also here." I Feng said, "I'm not worried about Wu Chang." Feng Jixing said, "If Wu Shang were to participate in the battle, Princess Shi would be able to reach Shiping City in 2 hours at full speed. With Princess Shi around, there's no need to fear Wu Shang. What I'm curious about is why Yangshang chose to attack us at this time. Don't they want to wait for spring to come and harvest the crops?" Ding Shi shook his head. "It snowed 3 days ago. It looks like we won't have the chance to plant crops this year. Yangshang is different from us. Even if he has to eat people, he will still start this war. That's why he's not worried about food. But us? The 80,000 armor demons that Commander Qianfeng has stationed outside Shiping City consume a huge amount of food and meat every day. Every 3 days they consume the cows and sheep of a farm. There are only over 20 farms in the entire West Mountain province. If they continue to eat like this, I'm afraid that the country we've just established in the Celestial Pole mainland will be eaten up." Qianfeng smiled awkwardly. "The armor demons have always been like this. Once a war breaks out, aren't they also 1 against 10? Ding Shi smiled and said respectfully, "Commander Feng, what do you plan to do? Do we concentrate our forces to guard Shiping City, or do we take the initiative to attack and meet Yangshang at the border of West Mountain Province and Tianji Province?" Feng Jixing thought for a while and said, "In the past 2 months, we have conquered the entire West Mountain Province. The 7 provinces in the north have also fallen into the territory of the Qin Empire. They are now citizens of the Qin Empire. We can't let them suffer from the chaos of war anymore. Let's take the initiative to attack. Pass down my order to deploy heavy troops at the forts at the northern border to meet the Shang army." Yes. Red Rock City. The moon and stars hung high in the sky. The snow in the cold courtyard had not completely melted. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had already gone to bed. In the courtyard, only Lin Muyu stood in the center of the lotus pond. His feet stepped on the surface of the water, but there were no ripples. He stood tall like a pine tree. The starlight continuously fell on his body and turned into his own. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and emptied his body and mind. He immersed himself in the starlight. The blood in his body slowly boiled, but it was not chaotic. It was the power of the blood-refining firmament that was suppressing the blood in his body. Today, Lin Muyu had already cultivated the blood-refining firmament to the extreme. After the 8th form of the Star's Arts, there was still the 9th form. It was also the most profound form of the Star's Arts. Lin Muyu had already memorized the mental cultivation method of the Star's Arts countless times over. He had also cultivated according to the mental cultivation method for many years. However, he had never broken through. His body slowly floated up along with the starlight. He was lying on his back in the lotus pond. The starlight plated his body. However, Lin Muyu's spiritual spirit seemed to have seeped into the starlight. Hua! The scene before his eyes suddenly brightened. It had actually turned into a peaceful land. White clouds lingered between the mountain ridges. The land was lush and green. There were plots of farmland, herds of cattle and sheep, and men and women weaving. The scene appeared and then disappeared again. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. He was in the middle of the war in the Blood Sea Purgatory. Now that he saw such a peaceful scene, he couldn't help but yearn for it. At this moment, the scene disappeared again and then reappeared. The scene of Miaojiang appeared in front of his eyes. It was a lake with rippling blue waves. There was a dense forest on the shore. There was a huge statue in the middle of the lake. It was a statue of a woman with a snake's tail. It was vivid and lifelike. Where is this? Lin Muyu walked on the water and walked under the statue. She looked up at the statue. There was an indescribable sense of familiarity. Rustle. The statue suddenly peeled off. The stone on the surface kept peeling off, revealing the bright skin underneath. In the blink of an eye, the woman in the statue had already woken up. She took a deep breath and opened her beautiful eyes to look at Lin Muyu. Her face was a little surprised. She said, "You are Lin Muyu?" "That's me." "You are?" Lin Muyu was stunned. How did this woman know her? The goddess smiled. "The world calls me Nuwa." "Nuwa?" Lin Muyu respectfully said, "Greetings, Lady Nuwa." "No need to stand on ceremony." Nuwa smiled a little and said, "Lin Muyu, do you know where this is?" "Junior doesn't know." "This place isn't real, but it's the place I yearn for the most." Nuwa murmured, "This is the manifestation of my dreamscape, and also the reflection of the Heavenly Melody Scroll. I call this place the Heavenly Melody Dreamscape. Only the most sincere and kind-hearted people will come here. Before you, no one has been able to come here. Tell me, how did you do it?" Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Junior was cultivating the star arts. I accidentally entered the Heavenly Melody Dreamland. Please don't blame me, lady." "Why would I blame you?" Nuwa smiled. Her smile was beautiful and charming. She said, "I seem to understand." "What do you understand, lady? Why did you find this place?" "Please enlighten me, lady." Nuwa smiled lightly. "It's actually very simple. The Heavenly Melody Dreamland is the manifestation of my state of mind. You must have entered the dreamland during your cultivation. Your state of mind is connected to mine. This means that your wish is the same as mine. Now tell me, what is your wish?" Lin Muyu thought of a small celebrity and said, "World peace." Nuwa chuckled. "This wish sounds strange and ridiculous, but it seems to be the truest representation of your heart. I know everything about you. You wish for peace and stability, but you are the one who initiated the war. You should also know that you are not the person that your state of mind yearns for, right?" "Yes." Lin Muyu stood on the surface of the water in a daze. He said, "I can't sleep at night. Almost every night I can see scenes of slaughter in my dreams. I can hear the cries of those who have died. They ask me why I started this war and what I obtained by doing this." As she spoke, Lin Muyu slowly knelt down in the water. Her body trembled slightly as the invisible force of an elephant rippled around her, creating layers of ripples. Nuwa smiled gently and leaned over to hug him. She said, "Silly child, this is all your cultivation. If you don't start the war, more people will die because of it. You were born to fight, so why run away? People are born to experience all kinds of things, and everyone's experience is different. But the final destination is the same. This is reincarnation. If you can't see through this reincarnation, you will fall into pain. Even if you are the strongest in the world, you will still feel pain and blame yourself. Do you understand?" Lin Muyu stretched out his left hand. King's combat flames rose. He wanted to turn these flames into divine power. But his hand hurt so much that he couldn't complete the transformation. He said with a trembling voice, "I need more power to complete all this. Only then can I prevent the people I cherish from leaving because of war. I need power. Will the Mahayana Heavenly Tao approve of me?" "It will." Nuwa's voice was very gentle. She said, "The fact that you can enter my Heavenly Voice Dreamland is enough to prove that you are the one chosen by the Heavenly Voice Scroll. It's just that your opportunity hasn't come yet. Don't be impatient, don't be discouraged, and don't die. The 6 realms need your power. The mortal world you live in needs your power even more." "I understand." Lin Muyu slowly stood up and bowed. He said, "Thank you, goddess. Go now, we will meet again." Nuwa's figure slowly disappeared, and Lin Muyu's body also slowly left the dreamland and returned to reality. He abruptly woke up from his dream. He actually fell asleep in the middle of cultivation. This was simply unimaginable. But Lin Muyu quickly felt a new power surging in his body. What is this? He raised his hand and strands of starlight gathered. The power was so strong that it even surpassed the blood-refining heavens. Let's give it a try first. He raised his palm and pointed it at the stone mountain not far away. Swish, swish, swish. The stone mountain didn't crack nor did it explode. But the stones quickly disintegrated into minerals just like how they were formed. A light breeze blew past, and the entire stone mountain instantly disappeared. Wasn't this power a little too strong? Chapter 1191. Star Art's Ninth Style, Reincarnation. That's right, it must be it. Otherwise it wouldn't have such a strong power. Reincarnation, as the name suggests, heaven and earth send you to reincarnation. The stone just now was quickly decomposed into a mineral by the power of reincarnation. If the target of this style was a human, then it would probably be ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Mortals definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this world-destroying blow. As for the demon god, it was hard to say. After all, Lin Muyu's own power was limited, but killing Mara wasn't a problem. As the stone mountain collapsed and decomposed, the power of reincarnation also seemed to ripple. Soon, Tang Xiaoxi's door was pushed open. She walked out in a robe and said in surprise, "Mu, what happened just now? I felt a power that was enough to threaten me disappear in a flash." "Xiaoxi, you felt it too?" "Yes." Tang Xiaoxi nodded seriously. Tang Xiaoxi was an upright god. Even she felt threatened. It was enough to show how strong the power of reincarnation was. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be complacent. She walked forward and fastened the collar of her robe. "It's cold outside. Go back to sleep. What about you? I'll cultivate for a while. You and Xiaoyin sleep first. And don't stay up too late." "Okay." Looking at Tang Xiaoxi's concerned expression, Lin Muyu's heart warmed. With such a wife, what more could a husband ask for? Perhaps for Tang Xiaoxi and Qinin she had to become stronger. Black Rock City, the capital city of the Northern Heaven Realm. Currently, Black Rock City had fallen into chaos. Thousands of winged Mara hovered above the city. The city was densely packed with demon world armies. They had already attacked the city. This kind of chaotic battle lasted for 7 days and 7 nights, but they still couldn't take down the city. After all, there were still many elite soldiers under Dong Ming's command. She had been managing the Northern Heaven Realm for so many years, so it wouldn't be taken down in a short time. Until dusk, the main street was densely covered with the corpses of Mara. Most of them had been killed by a weapon called the 100-bend bow. This kind of 100-bend bow had astonishing destructive power. The arrowhead was refined from divine crystals, and it could kill god race members whose cultivation was not profound enough. Clearly, these Mara were the type whose strength was not profound enough. The sound of horse hooves came from the cold street. A group of cavalry wearing dark silver armor came out of the castle. They were once the divine race army of the Northern Heaven Realm. These warhorses were originally divine beasts, but now they had lost their divine power and were reduced to a 1,000-li horse. Among the crowd, Great Emperor Dong Ming was wearing armor and holding a long sword in his hand. He looked coldly at the dead on both sides of the road and said, "How many have we lost in this battle?" Dong Han respectfully said, "More than 3,000 people died and more than 7,000 Mara were killed. Your Majesty, we haven't been completely defeated." "Is this a victory? I'm afraid. Ha ha ha." Dong Ming laughed sadly. "We only have more than 30,000 troops, but their Mara can't be killed completely. Haven't you heard the rumor that the demon world still has 50 million Mara? Before we kill them all, I'm afraid we will be exhausted. Besides, how many 100-bends bows are left?" "About 10,000. In the past 7 days, more than 40,000 100-bends bows have been damaged due to overuse. There are very few people who can repair them now." Sigh. Dong Ming sighed and said, "Move away Mara's corpse. Don't let their demonic energy continue to invade the main castle. We must protect the spiritual energy in the divine winter treasured mirror. Otherwise, the Northern Heaven Realm's foundation will be gone." "Your Majesty, should we take out the divine winter treasured mirror?" "If necessary." The divine winter treasured mirror had astonishing destructive power. It was the #1 divine weapon in the Northern Heaven Realm. It was said that anyone who was shown by the divine winter treasured mirror would immediately turn into frost and be consigned to eternal damnation. However, everyone had only heard of it. No one had actually seen the divine winter treasured mirror. Just as the divine race soldiers were transporting the corpses, a sharp roar suddenly came from the sky. It was the dual-winged Mara. Very quickly, a black mass of dual-winged Mara arrived. "Retreat into the main castle, quickly," Dong Ming shouted loudly. However, close to 5,000 cavalries were already outside the main castle. It was impossible for them to retreat in a short period of time. Furthermore, the dual-winged Mara came extremely fast. It quickly swept through the crowd, causing the cavalries to let out miserable roars. The sound of the 100 bend bow shooting to kill could be heard. One by one, the dual-winged Mara fell to the ground and died. However, they were like moths flying into a flame, charging forward wave after wave to kill. "Bastard!" Dong Ming pulled out his sword and roared angrily. He slashed out an ice spike from the sky. Ping 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 sounds of explosions could be heard. Although he did not have the cultivation of a god, Dong Ming was actually able to easily kill the dual-winged Mara. This was probably the reason why a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. After cultivating for so many years, Dong Ming's understanding of power far surpassed the average great perfection divine emperor. "This won't do, your majesty. There are more and more of them." Dong Han raised his sword and said, "I'll block them. Your majesty, quickly leave." On the street in the distance, a group of densely packed Mara pounced over. They were like a group of crazy dogs. However, they were not dogs. Their claws and teeth were enough to kill a god. Dong Ming brandished his sword and slashed with all his might. Dong Han led more than 1,000 people to set up a formation on the street to block them. Hong! A sword aura filled with devil flames rushed through the crowd and instantly killed many god race soldiers. It was a demon general with a long sword in his hand. His sword was unstoppable. In the blink of an eye, Dong Han's more than 1,000 people were cut in half. In an instant, the Northern Heaven Realm's military forces were unable to take care of themselves. "Dong Han!" Dong Ming shouted his brother's voice. However, in the blink of an eye, Dong Han and the others were already drowned by the Mara army. "Bastard! Bastard!" Dong Ming roared angrily. He suddenly raised his hand and shouted, "With my blood I will exchange for your might. Master of the Northern Heaven Realm, Dong Ming, please move the divine winter mirror and help me in battle." Buzz buzz buzz, the resplendent light rose sharply and the surrounding temperature instantly dropped by a lot. In the next moment, an illusory treasured mirror appeared in Dong Ming's hand. She raised it lightly, and a cold light shot out with a swoosh. The hundreds of devil luos in front of her turned into ice men in the blink of an eye, and they all fell to the ground and shattered. The light from the divine winter treasured mirror was so terrifying that the devil luos almost couldn't open their eyes. However, when the divine winter mirror appeared, all of the Mara went crazy. The demon general laughed out loud. Ancestor Emperor Ziyan said that as long as we obtain the divine winter mirror, we will immediately confer the title of Holy Emperor. Come on, little ones, snatch the divine winter mirror for me." The surroundings were filled with screeching sounds. Dong Ming waved the winter god's precious mirror and continuously killed the evil luos. However, how could she rely on the winter god's precious mirror to kill all the layers of evil luos in the surroundings? The surrounding god race soldiers fell to the ground one by one. Although Dong Ming killed countless Mara, his heart became colder and colder. Furthermore, the path to the main castle behind him had already been blocked by the black mass of Mara. Who could save the Northern Heaven Realm? Mahayana Heavenly Tao, why don't you save the Northern Divine Realm? Dong Ming wailed. 2 bloody wounds appeared on his shoulders. It was Mara's attack. The Divine Winter Mirror was a long-range attack divine artifact. Once it was closed in, it would be useless. Just as Dong Ming was in despair, a patch of green suddenly appeared on the surrounding ground. In the blink of an eye, a bunch of green vines shot towards the surrounding Mara like sharp swords. Puff puff puff, fresh blood splattered everywhere. Hundreds of Mara were killed in an instant. In the sky, a figure slowly descended. The light of one bright star floated in his hand. It was the 7 luminaries demon emperor. He was dressed in golden armor and the divine king's cloak fluttered behind him. The corner of his mouth rose as he said with a smile, "I heard that someone here is calling for reinforcements?" Dong Ming raised his head and looked at him. His tears almost came out. "Demon Emperor, what are you waiting for? Quickly save my little brother. All of you retreat." The 7 luminaries demon emperor turned around and looked at the countless Mara on the street. Suddenly, his divine might surged and he roared, "Clowns of the demon realm, all of you scram." Oh. A wave of divine power rushed out like a raging torrent, crushing Mara's body into pieces. However, it did not harm the god race army. This was probably the brilliance of the seven luminaries demon emperor. His understanding of power was even better than Dong Ming's. After the darkness passed, Dong Han, who was leading more than 300 Northern Heaven Realm warriors, was stunned. The seven luminaries demon emperor said, "Hurry up and enter the city. Do you think I can fight 100,000? Quickly enter the main castle." Dong Ming roared and brought up the winter god's treasured mirror. The seven luminaries demon emperor stared at the winter god's treasured mirror and said, "Dong Ming, this small mirror looks very interesting. Where did it come from?" Dong Ming spurred his horse forward and said, "You guys have taken away the Northern Heaven wheel. Don't even think about the winter god's treasured mirror. Just treat it as me begging you. There aren't many good treasures in the Northern Heaven realm." Yo. The seven luminaries demon emperor smiled faintly. "That's not what you said when you and the Western Divine Realm conspired to attack our Eastern Heaven Realm. That was in the past. Times have changed. Why mention it again?" Dong Ming smiled bitterly. After entering the main castle, the gate quickly closed. The entrance of the castle was covered with 100 bend bows and was heavily guarded. Those Mara chased after them to the gate and then stopped. The main castle of the Northern Heaven Realm was like a huge spinning top. It was sealed and impossible to attack. If they attacked forcefully, it would be equivalent to sending themselves to death. The people of the demon realm were not that stupid. The main hall of the main castle was still filled with singing and dancing as usual. The young goddesses twisted their enchanting figures. Food and wine were served to the distinguished guest, the seven luminaries demon emperor. The demon emperor naturally did not refuse. He sat on the VIP seat, holding a wine glass in one hand and a goddess thigh in the other. He said, "F***ck, it's really too ecstatic. No wonder the Northern Heaven Realm was so weak." Dong Ming smiled awkwardly and said, "At least, the Northern Heaven Realm lasted longer than the East Heaven, right? That's because our Eastern Heaven Realm had to guard the 8 Desolation Realm, 6 Harmony Realm, and the Central Palace Realm. Our forces were too scattered, so we were defeated one by one. Otherwise, how could the Demon Realm succeed so easily?" Dong Ming smiled slightly. "I'm still grateful to the Demon Emperor for helping us in time. If you didn't come today, I'm afraid it would be the end of our Northern Heaven Realm." The seven luminaries Demon Emperor said, well said, well said. The Demon Realm invaded and they are a great enemy. Only by forming an alliance can we resist the power of the Demon Realm. Dong Ming, are you willing to form an alliance?" This little brother is naturally very happy. "Alright, as a show of sincerity for the alliance, that small mirror, don't even think about it. The Winter God's treasure mirror is the lifeline of the Northern Heaven Realm. I definitely can't give it to you. Sai, I originally planned to use this Winter God's treasure mirror as a gift to win Xiao's heart." Dong Ming glanced at him and said, "If you really want to win Xiao's heart, then first remove the hand on that maid's leg." "Dong Ming, you're still too shallow." The Demon Emperor smiled faintly. "Do you know that there's a state called the body is in chaos but the heart is in chaos? Even if I'm like this, I only have Xiao in my heart. You don't understand at all. You playboy, I don't want to say anything more. Let's talk about the alliance." And that small mirror. Chapter 1192. On the 10th of June at the northern border of West Mountain Province, Feishu Pass. What was supposed to be a day of fluttering willow catkins was now snowing lightly. The soldiers were still dressed in thick winter clothes, their armors bulging. Outside the pass, drums rang out. It was the sound of the Shang army's drums of challenge. "They're here again." Tang Jin frowned. "This is the 3rd time. Every time, it's only 200 riders that come and go in a hurry. They flee the moment we exit the pass. What is the Shang army thinking?" Feng Jixing brushed off the snow on the wall and smiled. "I don't think Wu Chang and Sun Shi intend to fight for real. They're just bluffing. Send a letter to the other passes and tell them to be more vigilant. We're only making a feint here. Perhaps there will be a real attack elsewhere. We must keep each other informed and be ready to send reinforcements at any time." "Yes, General Feng." Tang Jin turned and left. Feng Jixing narrowed his eyes and said, "Zhang Wei Lin Sun, what do you think Yang Shang is thinking? Why is he making a feint attack on our pass?" Zhang Wei said casually, "It's just as Your Highness said. They're just bluffing." Lin Sun frowned. "Your Highness, I'm afraid there's a deeper meaning to this. The Shang army's military advisor, Sun Shi, is not a man without a plan. He must have a reason for doing this." "Oh? What could he be planning?" "This subordinate can't guess, but he must be trying to pin down the main force of our army here. Perhaps they have a large-scale heavenly book of the law of space. They can move the army to our rear and work together to break through the pass. Or they can directly attack the empty Shiping prefecture and catch us off guard. There's no need to worry about that. Feng Jixing smiled slightly. The number of people that the heavenly book of the laws of space can teleport is very few. A mere few hundred or a few thousand people will not be able to turn the tide of the battle. Don't forget we have 100,000 people guarding Shiping City. Lin Sun said, then this subordinate can't guess Sun Shi's intentions. Pay close attention to their movements and the Celestial Empire's movements. That's the right thing to do. Yes. Feng Jixing tightened his cloak and walked down the steps. The weather is getting colder and colder. What kind of damned weather is this? I'm going to rest. You guys guard the place well. Take care, Your Highness. Looking at Feng Jixing's departing back view, Lin Sun smiled and said, Lord Jianghu, do you think that our Prince Xian has lost the confidence to fight against the kingdom of Shang? Why do you say that? Jiang Wei was puzzled. Otherwise he would have revealed what I was thinking, but he didn't. His Highness knows how formidable that Sun Shi is. It said that the mobilization of the entire kingdom of Shang was handled by Sun Shi, so His Highness might be. Don't overthink it. Jiang Wei patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, do you think that Prince Xian's strategy will lose to Sun Shi's? I don't think so. Ever since I joined the Imperial Guards, I've never seen Prince Xian truly suffer a loss. Even when sparring with His Highness, Prince Qin, he has never been at a disadvantage. Don't worry. How much trouble can a mere Sun Shi cause? Even so, we'll still have to be careful. Lord Lin Sun will be on duty tonight. Pay more attention to the situation inside and outside the pass. All right. There were still no battles in Red Rock City. The bored Lin Muyu brought Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Yin, Wei Chou, and the others deep into the mountains to hunt. On one hand she was killing time, on the other hand she was exercising her limbs, and she was also taking the opportunity to hunt for some rations for the army. Mount Divine Deer was over 300 lis away from Red Rock City. Even hunters would rarely venture deep into the mountains like this. The accumulated snow had melted quite a lot, revealing the ground and allowing warhorses to pass through. For this trip, Lin Muyu and the others did not wear any robes or armor. They were lightly dressed. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were dressed like two beautiful commoner ladies, while Lin Muyu and Wei Chou were dressed in dark blue clothes with animal skins around their waists. They looked like hunters. If it was not because the warhorses they were riding on were very majestic, others might really think that they were hunters. Quickly look over there. Tang Xiaoxi pointed into the distance and said, there's a bird. As expected, there was an eagle perched on a branch looking around. It definitely seemed to weigh 4 to 5 caddies and was rather plump. Qin Yin smiled and said, it's about 200 meters away from us. Let's shoot together. Let's see who can hit it. Alright, Wei Chou is not allowed to shoot. Lin Muyu pulled out a white diamond arrow from the back of her horse. Wei Chou smiled but did not say anything. He only cupped his fists and bowed in agreement. If Wei Chou were to shoot together he would definitely be the winner. In terms of archery, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu were all good archers. However, compared to Wei Chou they were far inferior. Wei Chou's arm strength and accuracy were much stronger. Shwa shwa shwa. At the same time, 3 bowstrings sounded and the eagle perched on the branch fell to the ground. I'll go take a look. Lin Muyu urged her horse forward and bent down to pick up the eagle from the ground. It was heavy and had a lot of meat. The eagle's body was pierced by an arrow, and there was a thin Tang character carved on the shaft. It was actually shot by Tang Xiaoxi. As for Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, their arrows seemed to have missed. It's Xiaoxi's prey. Lin Muyu raised the eagle and said with a smile, it's at least 7 to 8 caddies. We already have a delicious meal to make soup for tonight. Wei Chou laughed and said, Princess Xi's archery skills are indeed good. Tang Xiaoxi pursed her red lips and said with a smile, anyone can praise me but Wei Chou you can't. Once you do it makes me feel like you're mocking me. Haha, I won't praise you anymore, I won't praise you anymore. Wei Chou urged his horse forward, but he suddenly stopped smiling and said, Milord, be careful behind us. Something seems to be slowly approaching us. It might be a ferocious beast. As expected, the sound of someone stepping on a short branch came from the hill behind Lin Muyu. A huge creature appeared there. It was a bear, a spiritual beast with 6 golden lines on its forehead. Good fellow. Wei Chou said with a smile, it's a flame bear, a spiritual beast that's naturally good at the power of the law of fire. A 6,000-year-old flame bear is rather rare. The flame bear on the hill roared angrily at Lin Muyu and the others. Flames continuously spewed out from its body. Obviously, this big guy was warning Lin Muyu and the others to step into its territory. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to know how powerful this group of people were, and it didn't know that there was actually a righteous god in this group of people. Si Kongyao said, "Brother, the flame bear is a good thing. His fur is very valuable. It's said that it's very warm to wear in winter, even hot. Although the flame bear's meat is rough, it will be very fragrant when it's cooked. After eating it, it can resist the cold. The flame bear's blood contains the power of the law of fire. It can be used to make medicine and has a miraculous effect on frostbite. In that case, this big guy's whole body is a treasure?" Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "Who's going to get rid of it?" Although it was a 6,000-year spiritual beast, to be honest, anyone present could easily get rid of it. After all, none of this group of people were easy to deal with. Wei Chou said, "Let me do it. Since the flame bear's fur is so good, then we must maintain the integrity of the bear's fur. This subordinate guarantees that an arrow will enter through the eye and pierce through the brain, but not through the skull, leaving no trace. My lord, please help me hold the line and attract the flame bear's attention." "All right." Lin Muyu urged her horse forward and lightly raised the Shen Yuan sword in her hand. She laughed mockingly, "Black bear, if you have the guts, fight me to the death?" Roar roar. Facing the provocation, the flame bear flew into a rage while Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and Si Kongyao smiled. It was rare to see Lin Muyu act like this, and it made Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi feel as if they had returned to the past. At that time, everyone didn't have so many burdens and their lives were incomparably free. "You're courting death." Lin Muyu's arm lightly shook, and immediately, the profound energy of the chaotic star danced chaotically under the horse's hooves. It looked like it was about to explode, but this was only to attract the flame bear's attention. The real killing move wasn't the chaotic star, but an arrow that flew past Lin Muyu's shoulder. Pfft. An arrow entered the brain, and just like what Wei Chou said, the 6,000-year-old flame bear fell straight down with a miserable groan. His body twitched a few times and it died. A few Imperial guards cheered, "Great archery, guard commander." Wei Chou cupped his fists and laughed, "Quickly go and get the blood. A bowl of the flame bear's blood can be diluted to make over 1,000 bottles of frostbite medicine. This is a great treasure." "Yes." A few Imperial guards went forward one after another, took out empty water bags, and used their sharp swords to cut open the flame bear's skin on its abdomen, and started to get the blood. The blood seemed to be endless, and in the blink of an eye, 7 to 8 water bags were filled, and all of them were hung on the horse's back. They only brought 4 Imperial guards, so Wei Chou decided to do it himself. He pulled out the dagger on his waist and started to skin the flame bear on the spot. After skinning it, he dissected it and most of the meat was stored in the space bag. Otherwise, the war horse might not be able to bear the weight. This bear was at least 500 to 600 kilograms, and no war horse could carry it for a long period of time. Looking at the sky, Lin Muyu said, "Let's find a place to rest. It's going to be dark soon. Once night falls, the swift wolf pack will come out to look for food. At that time, I'm afraid that once we are targeted, it will be very troublesome." Yes. It was very difficult to find a campsite in the mountains. After sunset, everyone finally found a place to rest in a kernel. They set up tents, lit a bonfire and started to cook dinner. There were many hunters along the way. Wild rabbits, deer, falcons and fat fish from the river were all there. Just the prey that Wei Chou hunted was close to a ton, and all of them were in the space bag. Therefore there were 5 pots of food for dinner. There were things that flew in the sky, ran on the ground and swam in the water. Since they were out to relax and train, it was also very important to eat well. The fat fish was tender and the falcon's meat was delicious. Therefore Lin Muyu ate 4 big bowls of food. Then she leaned against the tent and took a nap complacently. Meanwhile, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi went into the tent to lay the bedding and wait. At that moment, Wei Chou looked to the north vigilantly and said, "It seems like someone is coming. It's so deep in the mountains." "I'm afraid it's not a human," Lin Muyu said with a smile. Si Kongyao giggled. "Why does it sound creepy?" In the dark, an Imperial guard walked over quickly with a warhorse. He said, "Your Highness, there are a few people over there. They claim that they are lost merchants. Their fire sticks are wet from the snow and they want to borrow our fire sticks." "Oh? Let them come over." Lin Muyu chuckled. "They're robbing us. Let's take a look first." Chapter 1193. Big brother, how can you be sure that they aren't merchants? Si Kongyao was confused. Lin Muyu smiled and said, "It's simple. Firstly, it hasn't snowed in the Red Rock province for 3 days, so how could their fire sticks be wet? Secondly, this is a barren mountain, so it's impossible to transport goods. As merchants, they can't possibly walk a few hundred miles without taking the official road. Thirdly, they don't even have horses, so how are they going to transport goods? They can't possibly be merchants. Fourthly, there's a smell on their bodies. I can sense it with my spiritual pulse technique, a very disgusting smell." "What is that smell?" "The foul smell of the Fox clan?" Lin Muyu grinned. Si Kongyao pouted, "What the hell?" At this moment, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi also came out of the tent. Tang Xiaoxi asked, "Mu, do you need me to help?" "No need, it's just a few demon spirits." Lin Muyu stood up and placed her hand on the sword on her waist. She casually walked over with a few royal guards. Under the light of the bonfire, there were a total of 3 people. They were all merchants, with fierce gazes. The one leading them was a man with a mustache. He walked forward and said in a rather standard manner, "We are lost merchants. We can't light a fire at night, so we would like to borrow your fire. Please, don't reject us." "Oh, go get your own fire." Lin Muyu pointed at the bonfire behind her. "Thank you." The 3 of them quickly walked towards the bonfire. However, their gazes fell on the tents and the horses tied to the trees. They instantly revealed greedy expressions and walked faster and faster. The man with a mustache at the front suddenly roared. Fur appeared on his palms and sharp claws extended from his fingertips. He angrily roared and charged at Si Kongyao. He probably felt that this gentle girl was easy to bully. However, Si Kongyao wasn't gentle at all. The sword on her waist turned into a cold light and shot out. The small mustache man was forced to retreat again and again. His body suddenly expanded, turning into the appearance of a male demon fox, while the other 2 attacked Lin Muyu together. The cold light of their sharp claws was very frightening. Lin Muyu's speed was even faster. The sword light suddenly jumped up, and with 2 kacha-kacha sounds, the 2 arms had already fallen to the ground. The Shenyuan sword is so sharp that the demon spirits in the mortal realm can't resist it at all. The 2 demon foxes let out hissing sounds at the same time. Their gazes were fierce. After being injured, they seemed to have become even more violent. Lin Muyu didn't want to waste any more time. She suddenly opened her palm and a mighty force flowed in the air. The moment the starlight burst out, the 2 demon spirits were instantly evaporated, turning into dust that fell on the snowy ground. The power of the 9th style of the star scripture was indeed extraordinary. At this time, Si Kongyao had already stepped on the neck of the small mustache man, pinning him to the ground. She raised her sword and was ready to stab him in the heart. "Yao, wait." Si Kongyao was stunned. "Don't kill him first." Lin Muyu walked forward and stabbed the Shenyuan sword into the soil beside the small mustache man. She asked, "Who are you? Aren't the demon spirit clan in the forest of no return? Why did you come to the Red Rock province?" His whole body trembled. Seeing the tragic death of his 2 companions, he was already scared out of his wits. He said with a trembling voice, "I was originally one of the demon lords in the forest of no return, but a month ago, after the demon spirit clan's internal strife, I was stranded in the Red Rock province's forest. Please spare my life." "Internal strife?" Lin Muyu frowned. "Back then, the demon emperor of the forest of no return knew she made 3 rules with us. From now on, the demon spirit clan won't harm humans. You violated the rules. Aren't you afraid that Nushi will kill you?" "No, the demon emperor won't punish me." He shook his head and said, "A month ago, the demon emperor was no longer Nushi but Swerin." "Who's Swerin?" "One of the 4 great demon kings, the current demon emperor. The Qin state invaded the celestial pole continent and caused great chaos, but Nushi asked us to live in the forest of no return. Thus, the 4 great demon kings couldn't stand it and weren't willing to let go of this heaven-sent opportunity, so they strongly advised Nushi against it. They didn't expect Nushi to oppose it, so Swerin joined forces with the other 3 demon kings and launched an internal strife, pushing Nushi down from the throne and replacing her as the demon emperor. This way he could cooperate with the people of the Celestial Empire." "Damn it." Lin Muyu was infuriated and asked, "Where is Nushi now?" "Exiled? Exiled? Impossible. If Nushi was exiled, she would definitely come to find me." The demon lord laughed bitterly. "Indeed, she hasn't been exiled but placed under house arrest in the demon spirit's sacred altar in the forest of no return. Nushi's reputation is too high, so Demon Emperor Swerin doesn't dare to kill her and can only place her under house arrest." Then which side are you on? Are you loyal to Nushi or Swerin? I'm one of the 100 demon lords conferred by Demon Emperor Swerin. Young hero, let me go. As long as you let me go, I'm willing to give you all my wealth and let you enjoy endless glory and wealth. There's no need. Did Swerin send you to Hongyan province? Yes, Demon Emperor Swerin ordered us to enter Hongyan province and inquire about the situation there. Originally, I planned to let you take me to save Demon Emperor Nushi, but now it seems that there's no need. Just go. Young hero, what do you mean? Do you know Her Majesty Nushi? Or you? What do you want to do? Did I say something wrong? Young hero, why do you want to kill me? You can ask your blockhead about these questions after you leave. With a flash of sword light, the demon venerable's head rolled onto the snowy ground. The 3 demon venerables had all died here. Lin Muyu shook her arm lightly, dispelling the blood on her blade. She walked to the side of the tent and said, Shaoyin, I'm afraid we can't return to Hongyan City directly. We have to go to the Forest of No Return and save Demon Emperor Nushi. Otherwise, the Demon Spirit clan will definitely become the pawns of the Celestial Empire. When that happens, it'll be even more disadvantageous for us. The 3 just now, were they all demon lords? Yes. Lin Muyu sighed. After Tian Fa, the power of the Demon Spirit clan has been greatly weakened. These demon lords were originally very strong, but now they can't even withstand a single blow. I think it's because their power has been weakened that Nushi was placed under house arrest. Otherwise, with her strength, who would be able to put her under house arrest? Si Kongyao said, this place is only slightly more than 200 miles away from the Forest of No Return and about 400 miles away from the Demon Spirit clan's sacred altar. If we go at full speed, we should be able to arrive in a day. Do we need to travel at night? No need. Lin Muyu looked behind her and said, Weicho, tomorrow at dawn, you will return to Red Rock City with the Imperial Guards to guard the city. I, Shaoyin, Shaoxi, and Yao will go to the Forest of No Return. It's not good to have too many people. After all, it's the Demon Spirit clan's territory. When do you plan to leave, my lord? We will rest for 2 hours and set off at night. I will summon a Catasaurus. A Catasaurus is enough to carry 4 people to the Forest of No Return. We will arrive in an hour and find Nushi before dawn. Alright, please be careful. After resting for a while, Lin Muyu and the others were ready to set off. After summoning a Catasaurus, only Lin Muyu, Qinin, and Si Kongyao needed to fly with a Catasaurus. Tang Xiaoxi could just fly with them. In the night sky, the land was pitch black. There was not a single ray of light in the forest and wilderness. With a Catasaurus's flying speed, the distance of 500 miles was covered in less than an hour. Lin Muyu and the others almost froze into ice lumps. It was too cold in the middle of the night. After flying into the Forest of No Return, it was still snowing. Although the snow was not heavy, it became a natural protective barrier. Looking down at the ground, Qinin opened her eyes of blazing light and saw stars in the forest. Those were the light condensed by the demon spirit race's original spiritual power. Demon Emperor Nushi's power must have been sealed. How to find her would depend on Qinin's eyes of blazing light. The headquarters is over there. Si Kongyao pointed into the distance. Lin Muyu frowned and said, if we descend from the sky, it will definitely cause chaos. The demon spirit race has tens of thousands of members. We can't use force. We can only land far away and walk over. Is there anything we can hide? Si Kongyao giggled and said, that's simple. Brother, pretend to be a demon venerable and stick a hair on your cheek. Then tie the 3 of us up with a rope and say that we are the spoils of war you brought back. We will give it to that demon emperor Swerin first. When we see Swerin, subdue him and order him to take us to see Nushi. This way we can achieve our goal of saving people. Good plan. Lin Muyu smiled and immediately patted Acatosaurus's head and said, fly over there and land. In the curtain of snow, the 4 of them landed. Lin Muyu looked for ropes in his universe bag. In the end, he only found some ropes that could be used as horse reins. He could only use this as a rope. He quickly tied the 3 girls' hands. When he tied Tang Xiaoxi's hands, Tang Xiaoxi's face turned red and she asked, are we still going to play with this in the future? Lin Muyu's face also turned red and said, this? We'll talk about it when we get back. Si Kongyao's face was blank, but Qinin was not surprised at all. Not long after, Lin Muyu led the 3 beauties down the hill. At the bottom of the hill was the headquarters plaza. There were piles of bonfires, and there were guards and some high-level demon spirits standing guard. Stop. As expected, the moment they entered the plaza, they were stopped by a guard. Who are you? I can't lose in terms of momentum. Lin Muyu opened her mouth and scolded, Are you stupid? You don't even recognize me? One of the 100 demon venerables personally conferred by Demon King Swerin, are you an idiot? You. The guard that looked like a bear was startled and hurriedly knelt down and said, This lowly one greets demon venerables. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai, please forgive me. Forget it, I won't argue with you. Lin Muyu secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Sure enough, Swerin conferred 100 demon venerables. She knew that these little pawns wouldn't be able to recognize all of them. There were so many demon venerables who could recognize all of them. Get up, it's fine now. Take me to see Demon King Swerin. I brought back 3 human beauties to present to Demon King Swerin. Oh Lord, please come this way. This was too easy. The demon spirit race's guard was so lax. Putting aside the fact that the night patrol didn't have a password, the demon the Arch could also be seen as he wished. It was no wonder that Nusher's power was seized by a mutiny. When I return, I must lecture her properly and teach her a set of human leadership skills. Chapter 1194. The path of the altar was very flat. Although it was late at night, there were still many demon spirits patrolling. Even the demon monarch Swerin was not resting. The entire demon spirit race made Lin Muyu feel inexplicably strange. Following closely behind the guard, the 4 of them carefully came to the front of the altar. Looking up, they were surprised to find that it was a huge building built on the mountainside. More than a dozen huge stone pillars supported the weight of the altar, and the high walls were carved with lifelike evil beasts. It looked strange and eerie, indescribably disgusting. Lin Muyu frowned. She held Qin Yin's hand and signaled the 3 beauties to be careful. At the entrance of the sacred altar, a demon king transformed into a general. He raised his hand and berated, Guard, why are you here? Who is the person behind you? The guard quickly knelt down and said, Lord Demon King, the one behind us is one of the 100 demon venerables. As for the 3 women, they were captured by him from the commoners and offered to the demon monarch Swerin. The demon king raised his brows and smiled. This demon venerable looks unfamiliar. Is he new here? Lin Muyu respectfully said, Yes. Hey, the 3 women, raise your head. Let me have a look first. Hearing the demon king's words, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and Si Kongyao raised their heads. The demon king was startled and said, There are such beauties in this world. Great, the demon monarch Swerin will be overjoyed. Aha. Don't say anything, follow me. Lin Muyu was relieved. It seemed like the 3 beauties' beauty was useful. It was like a passport. Nowadays people were judging people by their appearance. Even the demon spirit race's headquarters was like this. After entering the hall, there was a person sitting on a throne in the distance. There were 4 demonic venerable level guards beside him. The light was dim and it was difficult to see the person's appearance. However, he looked very short, not as sturdy as the demonic king from before. Your Majesty. The demon king respectfully said, This demon venerable has brought 3 beauties to your Majesty. Please accept them. The person on the throne slowly stood up and walked down the stairs step by step. As expected, he was only about 1.5 meters tall. With the light from the lantern, Lin Muyu could see that his face was very skinny with a protruding mouth and monkey cheeks. However, his eyes were shining brightly and his body was surrounded by a faint demonic spiritual energy. This demon emperor's cultivation was not low and even made Lin Muyu feel a trace of threat. Demon Sovereign, what's your name? The Swerin demon monarch's gaze swept past the 3 girls and landed on Lin Muyu. Demon Sovereign, what's your name? Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She hadn't thought of this at all. Swerin demon monarch continued, I've never seen you among the demon sovereigns. You don't belong to this forest of no return, right? Lin Muyu's killing intent had already been aroused. She pulled out the Shenyuan sword with a gentle wave of her hand, flew up, and infused the 6 elements tribulation profound energy into the long sword, striking at Swerin demon emperor like a thunderbolt. Damn it! Swerin roared in anger. Scales began to appear on his fist as he suddenly punched at the Shenyuan sword. Bam! The 2 were blasted apart. Lin Muyu took a few steps back. The Shenyuan sword was actually shaken off, and there was a faint feeling of numbness in her arm. But the Swerin demon monarch wasn't any better. Blood kept dripping from his fist as he shouted with a fierce and domineering gaze, Who are you? What are you doing in my demon spirit clan? Behind him, Qin Yin easily subdued the demon king. while Tang Xiaoxi killed the 4 guards with the power of a righteous god. Only the demon emperor Swearin was left in the entire hall, and he was the only general left. Lin Muyu smiled with her sword in hand. I heard you plotted to force Nu Shi to abdicate and pushed her down from the throne. I'm here to avenge my friend. You're Lin Muyu? You know me? I don't just know you. Who in the entire demon spirit clan doesn't know you? Die brat. The Swearin demon monarch leaped up and punched down with both fists with great force. The person who could force Nu Shi to abdicate was indeed capable. Lin Muyu didn't dare to use Samsara as it was too lethal. She was afraid of accidentally killing Swearin, so she used 5 elements 8 wastelands annihilation. After another heavy blow, Tang Xiaoxi couldn't stand it anymore. She held the flame of destruction in her hand and flew over with a cold gaze. Swearin, if you don't obey us, you'll die. The flame of destruction surged, creating ripples in the hall. The biting cold divine might cause the stone slabs on the ground to crack and fly up. The scene was very frightening. Swearin had never seen such power before. His knees went soft and he knelt on the ground. You broke into the main altar of the demon spirit clan. What do you want? Take us to see Nu Shi. Lin Muyu said indifferently. You really want to see Nu Shi? Yes. All right then. A sly smile flashed across Swearin's mouth, but it didn't escape Lin Muyu's eyes. However, since they were already here, they might as well make the best of it. They had to find Nu Shi no matter what. Otherwise, it would be very disadvantageous to the Qin Empire if they lost this powerful ally. Creak! The Swearin demon monarch pushed open a secret door behind him. Suddenly, cold wind whistled in. This secret door actually led to the back of the mountain outside. A dark and silent path appeared in front of them. There wasn't even a lantern or a guard along the way. This was incredible. What, you don't dare to come? Swearin's eyes flashed with sarcasm. Lin Muyu smiled. Why wouldn't I dare? Lead the way. Okay. The Swearin demon monarch walked straight ahead. Lin Muyu glanced at the 3 girls and whispered, I feel something is wrong. Be careful, it might be a trap. Tang Xiaoxi nodded. I also feel it's a trap. This mountain, there's something fishy. Xiaoxi, you are a principal deity. Can you feel anything? There's something unusual about this mountain. Tang Xiaoxi's eyes were as clear as water. I feel that it's hiding some kind of power, but as for what it is, I can't tell. Maybe we can only know when we see it. Well, let's go. Let's see Nu Shi first. Although Lin Muyu was a little apprehensive, there was a saying that things would eventually sort themselves out. There was no point in letting her imagination run wild. She could only understand what had happened to the demon spirit race after seeing the demon the arch Nu Shi. The wind and snow blew on their bodies. The 4 slowly followed the Swearin demon monarch up the mountain. There wasn't even a single guard along the way. It didn't make sense. Logically speaking, the place where the demon monarch Nu Shi was imprisoned shouldn't be so lightly guarded, right? Just when Lin Muyu was feeling uneasy, they arrived at the mountain. A wooden house stood under a huge rock. It was very tranquil and even a little creepy. Nu Shi is in the house. If you want to see her, go ahead. The Swearin demon monarch's eyes flickered with pride. Lin Muyu frowned and suddenly made a move. The tip of the Xianyuan sword scabbard struck the demon monarch's spine. With a ping sound, one of his meridians was severed. Without waiting for him to speak, Lin Muyu waved her battle chi at her fingertips, and with 3 shwa 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 sounds, 3 more meridians were severed from the demon monarch's body. Instantly, the demon monarch fell to the ground, howling in pain. Big brother what? Si Kongyao was stunned. No matter what happened inside, he is definitely not a good person. Cripple him just in case. Lin Muyu said plainly. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi didn't say anything. Lin Muyu did the right thing. He was the commander-in-chief of the 3 armies and was used to doing things in a storm of bullets. If he couldn't do it swiftly and decisively, he would be a burden to the 3 armies. Creak. Lin Muyu pushed open the door of the wooden house and immediately saw the light from the brazier. The space inside the wooden house was extremely large and was not inferior to the size of a side hall. A nearly 10-meter-long staircase led to the throne at the end of the house. The throne was decorated with gold and gems. It was much more beautiful than the throne in the holy altar. A woman was sitting on the throne. It was the demon monarch Nu Shi. Nu Shi. Lin Muyu frowned. He could see clearly that the demon monarch Nu Shi wasn't restrained at all. There wasn't even a rope to tie her up. Behind him, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Si Kongyao were also surprised. Everything here was way beyond their imagination. Under the illumination of the brazier, Nu Shi was still as beautiful as before. She still had a sexy figure and a peepa beside the throne. She crossed her long legs and looked at Lin Muyu indifferently. Her eyes were actually flashing with ruthlessness and determination. Yo, Emperor Qin is finally here. Nu Shi smiled and said, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Nu Shi, what do you mean? Lin Muyu frowned and asked, did you lure us here on purpose? No, I didn't lure you here. You guys came here on your own. Nu Shi was still sitting on the throne. She said indifferently, I didn't expect the high and mighty Emperor Qin to be concerned about the life and death of others. This is a little surprising. Lin Muyu, Qinin said, Nu Shi, what exactly did you experience? Wow, Her Highness is here too. Nu Shi giggled and stood up from the throne. However, black energy chains were pulling her body from the ground. Almost every important part of her body was embedded with a faintly discernible chain. It was as though her entire body was firmly locked to the ground. What is that? Lin Muyu was stunned. Demon sealing chain. Nu Shi giggled and said, did Emperor Qin just see it? What is the demon sealing chain? It's a kind of self-sealing method that allows me to seal the demonic flames in my body. Nu Shi laughed heartily. Her eyes were filled with ruthlessness and evil. The demon sealing chain around her suddenly collapsed. Streaks of demonic flames flew out of her body and danced around her. Nu Shi's aura instantly became incomparably powerful. It actually forced Lin Muyu, Tang Xiaoxi, and the others to continuously retreat. It was unknown when she had been sealed. Furthermore, her strength was definitely not below that of a high god like Wu Chang. Chapter 1195. Nu Shi, are you crazy? Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? Nu Shi smiled proudly, kill you, what else can I do? Only by killing you will I feel happy, only by killing you will I feel happy, only by killing you will I have the joy of revenge. Mu Xiaoyin stepped back. Tang Xiaoxi suddenly took a step forward, the raging flames around her soared into the sky, instantly rushing out of the hut, condensing into a flame wall in front of her, protecting Qin Yin and Lin Muyu from harm. Yo, the righteous god of Mahayana heavenly Tao. Nu Shi giggled, this is the first time I have seen an righteous god, but this power seems to be just SOSO. Tang Xiaoxi, it was not easy for you to become an righteous god, do you want to destroy it now? Tang Xiaoxi looked straight at her, I don't care who you are, if you want to harm them, you have to pass through me first. Fine, you want to die. Nu Shi smiled slightly, but the devil flames around her became more and more biting cold. The whole mountain peak was illuminated by the devil flames, the scorching flames turned into monstrous flames, crushing down. Tang Xiaoxi clenched her teeth, activating the strongest breaking flame in her body to resist Nu Shi's attack, only to see the air above constantly colliding with the violent sound of air flow. The whole mountain range was shaking, the ground slowly burst open, boulders flew up as if they were freed from gravity, the whole domain has begun to become chaotic. Nu Shi held the devil flames in her hand, the corner of her mouth was full of a sinister smile. Tang Xiaoxi, how long can you last? Tang Xiaoxi also smiled, it's not how long I can last but how long can you last. With that, she suddenly waved the breaking flame in her hand, immediately a flame wave swept forward, the devil flames met the breaking flame in time, Nu Shi immediately groaned, spitting out a mouthful of blood, she was injured. In terms of divine power, she was still inferior to Tang Xiaoxi for a moment, her face was full of viciousness for a moment she roared, why? What? Tang Xiaoxi was bathed in flames as she walked over with the Zhurong sacred fire sword in hand. She had a calm expression on her face as she said, Nu Shi, you've fallen too deeply into the demonic path. No one can save you. Let me release you from purgatory. Xiaoxi, don't. Lin Muyu hurriedly said, don't kill her, let her live. Tang Xiaoxi was startled, biting her red lips, and boundless flames soared into the sky, and the entire forest of no return was illuminated by this battle. The demonic flames became weaker and weaker under the suppression of the broken flame. Nu Shi, who was in the midst of the demonic flames, looked up at the sky and roared, Purple Flame Ancestor Emperor, what are you waiting for? Lend me a hand. En? Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. Lin Muyu felt a strong force coming from the sky, shouting, Xiaoxi, be careful. Swoosh. A golden light pierced through the clouds, turning into the image of a tower, falling down, the target was locked onto Tang Xiaoxi, the cold invisible energy came crashing down. The mountain began to completely collapse, rocks flew down like rain. Woo woo woo. Tang Xiaoxi activated her strongest fire breaking to resist the power of the god-exterminating tower. However, how could she resist it? After a few seconds, she knelt on the ground with a whimper and vomited blood. She actually lost consciousness in the blink of an eye. Dang. Nu Shi kicked away Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword, stepped on Tang Xiaoxi's back with her left foot and sneered, "So what now? Your principal god has become a piece of trash. What other abilities do you have?" B** starred. Lin Muyu rushed over. The two swords contained a cold destructive aura. It was the power of reincarnation. Oh. Nu Shire pouted her lips and looked rather shocked. She raised the devil flame in her left hand and swept it across Lin Muyu's body like a steel wall. There was a huge disparity in strength between the two. It was just a simple attack and Lin Muyu was sent rolling on the ground. Her face was covered in blood. It was obviously impossible to rely on the king's combat flame to fight against the devil flame. Let go of Xiaoxi. Qin Yin held the Donghua sword, rushed into the flames without a care, endured the burning pain and slashed out a merciful attack. Nu Shi opened her palm and forcefully grabbed the blade of the Donghua sword. The devil flames followed the blade and pressed towards Qin Yin, instantly swallowing up Qin Yin's body. She fell to the ground in pain, her body trembling. Si Kongyao's attack from behind also failed to stop Nu Shi, and she was sent flying by her palm, vomiting blood. Let them go. Lin Muyu was covered in injuries, stood up with the help of the long sword and walked towards Nu Shi shakily. The devil flames on the ground burned him, but he still walked forward and said in a low voice, "Nu Shi, you used to be so kind. Why did you take this step? Let them go, I beg you, I beg you." Nu Shi's pair of arrogant beautiful eyes had a trace of disdain. "Why should I let them go just because you begged me? Where were you when Duo La led the Divine Feather Battalion to kill my demonic spirit race? Where were you when Sun Shi set fire to the wild boar forest and killed 100,000 of my demonic spirit race? You, the Qin Emperor, only cared about fighting your own battles. Did you think of our demonic spirit race?" "I really don't know." Lin Muyu gritted her teeth. "I really don't know about these. It's fine if you don't know, but it's too late to say anything." Nu Shi's eyes were filled with disdain and she laughed. "You can continue to pretend to be a good person, but I can no longer go back. I've become a devil and it's impossible for me to go back. Ha! Why can't you go back? You can go back after you put down the butcher's knife. Can you?" Nu Shi had a pitiful look and she laughed. "Lin Muyu, you were once one of the divine kings of the Eastern Heaven Realm. Do you know what the devil path is? What do you think darkness is like?" "Lin Muyu," Nu Shi sneered and said, "let me tell you what it means to fall into the devil path. That is, everything I cherish has been shattered. More than half of my treasured clansmen have died and I am clean. The body that I cherished for many years has been made with those unknown demons in the devil path. In order to obtain power, I can give up everything and even my body is no longer clean. How do you think I should go back?" Lin Muyu still walked forward step by step and said, "I'm sorry, but this is my fault. Please let go of Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. They are not in the wrong." "No, they are in the wrong." Nu Shi said indifferently, "They are by your side and this is their fault." On the ground, Tang Xiaoxi suddenly let out a whimper, and her aura had already become very weak. Qin Yin was not much better, her entire body was burned red by the devil flames, and her protective aura was about to collapse. Lin Muyu panted heavily and came in front of Nu Shi. She looked at her and suddenly raised the Shen Yuan sword and said indifferently, "Let them go." "Why do you want to kill me?" Nu Shi laughed. The Shen Yuan sword quickly fell. Clang. Nu Shi's palm grabbed the Shen Yuan sword like an iron pincer, and grabbed it with a turn of her hand. She sneered, "Lin Muyu, I originally thought that there was friendship between us, but now it seems my life is like grass in front of you and you can take my life at any time, right? What right do you have for me to let you go?" She raised her sword and said with a smile, "The legendary Lin Muyu died under your own Shen Yuan sword. How ironic is this?" The power in Lin Muyu's body was almost exhausted, and she stood there blankly and closed her eyes. "Then at least I can die in front of them. Humph, I'll fulfill your wish." Nu Shi smiled coldly. At this moment, a soft but firm voice came from the side. "You are not allowed to kill him." "I will not allow you to kill him." The one who spoke was Qin Yin. Buzz buzz buzz. Under her feet, rays of golden light revolved, and each ray of light was formed by very small golden characters. Those were ancient characters. The sky thundered and this aura was very familiar. Another Mahayana heavenly Tao righteous god? Nu Shi looked at Qin Yin indifferently and said with a smile, Then I'll kill you first. Oh. The Xianyuan sword fell down with the devil flames. However, Qin opened her palm and a bright golden light burst forth. A newborn dragon crystal blocked the Xianyuan sword slash, and its power was actually not inferior to Nu Shi's. The wind and clouds in the sky surged, and the golden light continuously gathered into the shape of the heavenly sound scroll. Another new righteous god was about to appear, and this time, it was Qin. Without waiting for Nu Shi to react, Qin suddenly rushed forward, and her right fist was filled with the power of the dragon crystal, and she heavily punched Nu Shi's lower abdomen. With a groan, Nu Shi couldn't even hold the Xianyuan sword anymore, and her body retreated tens of meters, causing the space to distort. Her face was pale and she vomited a mouthful of blood. She looked up at Qin and said indifferently, "I pray? Ancestor Emperor Ziyan, please use the god-destroying pagoda to kill this new god." However, there was only the heavenly sound scroll in the sky, and there was no longer the light of the god-destroying pagoda. Obviously, every time the god-destroying pagoda was activated, it would consume the demon realm's energy. It needed time to store energy and it couldn't be released indefinitely. Boom boom boom. Bolts of golden lightning descended from the sky, and a strong wind blew. The original form of goddess Nuwa appeared in the sky, and she looked at Qin with a gentle expression and said, "Qin, you are kind, talented, and have obtained the recognition of the heavenly sound scroll. Now, I will bestow upon you the second-grade superior deity Dharma body, and the title of Graceful Goddess. You will be in charge of the order of the three realms, and I will bestow upon you the power of order. I hope that you will do your best to protect the Mahayana heavenly Tao for all living beings in the world." Qin had become a god. Looking at the original form of goddess Nuwa in the sky, Qin bit her red lips, and wanted to cry but no tears came out. She turned around, knelt on the ground and helped Tang Xiaoxi up. "Xiaoxi, are you okay, Xiaoxi?" Tang Xiaoxi heaved a sigh of relief. Although she was still unconscious, her life was not in danger. The demon empress Nu Shi's body slowly flew up, and she stopped in mid-air. She looked at Lin Muyu from afar and said, "It feels good to have two goddesses protecting you, right?" Lin Muyu frowned and said, "You didn't have to walk the path of diabolism." "Is that so?" Nu Shi chuckled, "Do you think I had a choice?" At the side, Qin clenched her teeth and wall-shaped divine power, which was unique to the graceful goddess, surrounded her. She said word by word, "You fell into the path of diabolism because of hatred, and you harmed others because of grievances. You clearly had a choice but you chose the most vicious path. Everything is just an excuse for your cowardice, and you blame others for your evil deeds. This is just your selfish reason." As she spoke, Qin opened her hand, and the East Flower Sword was instantly sucked back into her hand. The cyclone danced and her robe fluttered in the wind. She said in a low voice, "Brother, you take good care of Xiaoxi, I'll go get rid of her." "No, Xiaoyin," Lin Muyu shook her head and said, "Forget it, don't kill her. I owe her." In the air, Nu Shi sneered, "Don't think that I will be grateful to you like this. Lin Muyu, just you wait for my revenge." In the blink of an eye, Nu Shi whizzed away. "Why don't you let me kill her?" Qin was puzzled and said, "In the future she is destined to become our great enemy. If I kill her here, I will regret it for the rest of my life." Lin Muyu looked at the charred ground silently and said, "I will bring her back the way she got lost. If I can't, I will kill her myself." Actually, Si Kongyao walked over while holding her abdomen and said, "Actually, she had many opportunities to kill brother you just now but she didn't." Chapter 1196. After Nu Shi was defeated, she left the Forest of No Return and was never heard from again. It was said that she went to the Celestial Empire because Qinyu had promised that as long as Nu Shi was willing to surrender to the Celestial Empire, he would let bygones be bygones. Moreover, the Celestial Empire had the two demon gods, Kuyu and Song Liangqing, and they were given important tasks. This was enough to prove that Qinyu had already compromised with the demon realm. As long as he could obtain power and maintain the status of the Celestial Empire, there was nothing Qinyu couldn't do. There were still 150,000 demon tribes left in the Forest of No Return. More than a third of them had followed Nu Shi to the Heavenly Jew Empire overnight. The rest of them were all in a mess. It wasn't until dawn that Lin Muyu sorted out the situation. After Nu Shi left, the demon spirit tribe was ruled by two demon kings. One of them, Demon King Swerin, was crippled by Lin Muyu, and the other was Demon King Skyfeather. After dawn, he announced that he would lead his tribe to surrender to the Qin Empire and be loyal to Qin Yin and Lin Muyu. During the morning meeting, only 20 people arrived at the sacred altar out of the 100 demon venerables. Due to Nu Shi's departure, the hearts of the demon spirit tribe were scattered. It was difficult for them to unite like in the past. Many demon spirits even decided to leave alone and transform into humans. They would coexist peacefully with humans like they did many years ago, or they would use humans as food and resume their old life of hunting. After the morning meeting ended, only Lin Muyu and the other 3 were left in the empty sacred altar hall. Lin Muyu sat by the huge window of the hall and looked at the jungle in the distance. Qin Yin, who was beside him, carefully bandaged the wound on his arm. Tang Xiaoxi took breakfast from a demon spirit guard. It was a pot of porridge. The demon spirit tribe had always eaten meat. This was the only food that could be provided for them. Time to eat. Tang Xiaoxi was distributing the porridge. Lin Muyu leisurely said, "No, I'm afraid we can't just leave the 100,000 demon spirits behind and leave. Although we just let the Sky Feather Demon King temporarily take over the position of Demon Emperor, Sky Feather is still a demon spirit. Once we leave, the Sky Feather Demon King will definitely lead the demon spirits to rebel against the Empire. At that time, the 100,000 demon spirits will become a thorn in our flesh." Tang Xiaoxi said, "I'll stay. After all, after I transform into Nine-Tailed, I'm also a demon spirit in people's eyes. Maybe it'll be easier for me to talk to these demon spirits." The demon spirits are not the demons of the Western region. They are not as devout as the demons. Lin Muyu was a little worried. "It's too dangerous for Xiaoxi to stay here alone. I'll stay as well." Xiao Yin and Yao will return to Red Rock City to oversee the situation. With the 2 of you there, the Celestial Empire won't dare to make any rash moves. Qin Yin nodded. "Okay, I got it." Lin Muyu continued to sit there in a daze. "Mu, what are you worried about?" Tang Xiaoxi asked softly. "The God-destroying pagoda." Lin Muyu spat out 3 words and frowned. "That beam of light is the God-destroying pagoda. The Demon Emperor has already told me about it. In addition, that beam of light is emitted from the demon realm. In other words, the God-destroying pagoda can launch an attack on our plane from the demon realm. If the person holding the God-destroying pagoda enters the celestial pole continent, I'm afraid righteous gods like Xiao Shi and Xiao Yin will become hunting targets." "But what can we do?" Qin Yin said helplessly. "The demon realm is too strong now. I can feel their restlessness. The only thing the righteous gods can do is to endure and wait. Only when more righteous gods appear will they be able to contend against the demon realm." Lin Muyu clenched her fists. "The more I want to see through the heavenly Tao of Mahayana, the more I can't see through it. I don't know what I'm missing. Actually, what I want to do the most now is to immediately ascend and head to the celestial realm to stop the demon realm's attack." "Who doesn't want to?" Qin Yin smiled lightly. "But what we need to do now is to settle the demon spirit race, then fight the Celestial Empire and the Kingdom of Shang. After we unify this plane, we can head to the Celestial Realm without any worries." "Okay, when do you leave?" "In the afternoon." "Okay, be careful on the road." "Don't worry, I'm a righteous god now." "Haha, that's true." Unlike the flourishing Celestial Pole mainland, the various spiritual mountains in the Western Divine Realm had long fallen into a deathly stillness due to the loss of the support of divine power. Not even a blade of grass grew, and the prosperous scenes of the past had become a memory. The trial field, the place where Qin Yin had once walked out of. Rustle? The sound of footsteps landed on the withered grass. Shi Yin held the Chiwa sword in her hand as she walked step by step into the place she was once familiar with. However, the trial field was a mess now. Most of the buildings had been destroyed by Mara's army, and a large number of weapons and valuables had been plundered by the Demon Realm's army. The trial field was now just a huge empty shell. In the distance, a bewitching purple light shone from the Radiant Saint Hall where ruler Claude used to live. That was the light of the Demon Realm's army. The Radiant Saint Hall had already fallen into the hands of the Demon Realm's army. However, the Radiant Saint Hall was at least 5 kilometers away from the trial field. As long as she did not make too much noise, she would not be discovered. Mara's senses were not particularly sensitive to power. As long as Shi Yin suppressed her aura and power, she would be able to survive under their noses. Walking through the rubble, Shi Yan's beautiful eyes were filled with worry and anxiety. What she needed the most right now was the Radiant Origin Stone. The Radiant Origin Stone contained an extremely powerful source of power, and it was one of the necessary items to revive Eva. However, the Radiant Origin Stone was too precious. Even ruler Claude only had a handful of radiant origin stones. However, Xian knew that there was someone who still had a radiant origin stone. It was the vice dean of the trial field, Li Fei. She had once been rewarded for her contributions in selecting talents. Claude had chosen a radiant origin stone from the Immortal Realm's treasury and given it to Li Fei. If Xian remembered correctly, Li Fei had not used the radiant origin stone. Instead she had kept it. Now that the Immortal Realm was in ruins, and Li Fei had either been killed or had left early, Xian's only hope was that the radiant origin stone was still there. It was still in Li Fei's residence, the vice dean's office, or where she lived. In the distance, the training field of the trial field had already been destroyed. Iron dummies had been chopped down and burnt black. The trees on both sides of the road had also been uprooted. The demon realm was born with a strong desire to destroy. They seemed to be unable to see anything that could survive, even trees. Whoosh! Stepping on the rubble, Xian took a big stride and landed in the middle of the ruins. The vice dean's office had been burned down. The flowers and plants in the small courtyard had been smashed, the courtyard wall had been pushed down into a piece of rubble, and Li Fei's table had been burned to ashes. When Xian walked in, she found that the bathtub in the room had also been smashed. Li Fei was a woman who loved to look beautiful. Taking a bath every day was a compulsory lesson. Looking at the broken bathtub, Xian could not help but smile bitterly. The past was like a dream that could not be traced back. If she had not left back then, perhaps it would not have been like this. But on second thought, even if she did not leave, could she resist the invasion of the demon realm? Probably not. She might not even be able to save her own life. The demon realm would not let go of a blazing angel. She bent down and rummaged through the rubble, but after searching for a long time, her hands were covered in mud, but she found nothing. Eva's voice came from the broken sword. "Sister, I'm afraid that Li Fei has already taken the Radiant Origin Stone away. The Radiant Origin Stone is so precious, how could she leave it here?" Perhaps Li Fei did not have time to leave? Xian was a little apprehensive and hesitant. She wanted to resurrect Eva, so she hoped that Li Fei had died in battle and left the Radiant Origin Stone behind. But she did not want Li Fei to die. After all, Li Fei was a familiar friend in the God realm. "Sister, can you sense the energy fluctuations of the Radiant Origin Stone?" Eva asked. "No." Xian shook her head and said, "Perhaps the power of the Radiant Origin Stone was concealed by the black sandalwood box." "That's not possible. I can only hope so." "You've worked hard, sister, I'm sorry." Eva said apologetically, "I was too incompetent back then, so I was swallowed by the demonic flames. Otherwise you would not have to run around like this." "Don't say silly things." Xian smiled faintly, "You did not disappoint me. On the contrary, when the seal of the 6 realms was broken, you did not escape but died for your cause. This is my good Eva. Only this kind of nature is worthy of being a blazing angel of the Western Divine Realm, is it not?" Thank you, sister." Eva was a little happy and said, "But the Lord Ruler seems to have escaped." "Don't mention him." Xian said a little angrily, "Among the 4 great God realms, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor defended the 8 Wastelands realm with his life, the Northern Divine King Dongming defended Black Rock City with his life, the Southern Divine Realm did not retreat at all, and most of the gods were slaughtered but still resisted Mara's army. Only our Western Divine Realm was defeated in one battle. We clearly had the responsibility of guarding the entrance to the Devil Realm, but we watched as the Devil Realm invaded. This is all because of Claude's cowardice. He only knows how to bare his fangs and brandish his claws against the weak, but when he meets a true expert, he is as timid as a quail." "Quail?" Eva giggled and said, "This analogy is very interesting, but, sister, to be honest, if I can really be resurrected and receive the recognition of the Mahayana Heavenly Tao, I will no longer be loyal to any divine king. I will only be loyal to my own heart." "Yes, I will be the same. I will only be loyal to my own heart. That is what a true God should do." At this moment, a sharp cry suddenly came from the sky. It was the 2-winged Mara. Xian reacted extremely quickly. She quickly hugged the broken sword and leaped into a corner of Li Fei's room. She used the broken stone as a cover to conceal herself, and at the same time, lowered her aura to the minimum. She could not be discovered. Otherwise, even if she killed this Mara, it would probably attract the army of Mara from the Radiant Saint Hall. By then it would be troublesome if thousands of Mara came. What was even more troublesome was if the Devil Realm's Ziyen was alarmed. That would be the real problem. Against the god-slaying tower that was powerful enough to destroy even gods, Xian did not have absolute confidence that she could escape alive. a black figure shot through the air. The two-winged Mara did not discover Shi Yan's traces, nor did he discover anything unusual in the trial grounds. What an idiot. Chapter 1197. At dawn, Shi Yan almost searched the entire training field, but she still could not find the light primordial stone. Perhaps the light primordial stone was not in the training field. It was almost dawn, and it was easier to be discovered by the two-winged Mara during the day. Moreover, the entire Western Divine Realm was under the control of the Demon Realm. Every 15 minutes or so, there would be a two-winged Mara flying over. The security was tight and there was not much time left for Shi Yan. Sister. In the broken sword, Eva reminded, it's time to find a place to rest. Why don't we go underground? Underground? Have you forgotten? There's an underground training field in the training school. Many giant beasts were raised there as training targets. Xin graduated from there. Oh, how could I forget? Shi Yan was ecstatic. Yes, there's also the underground training field. Maybe the light primordial stone is hidden there. Yes. Shi Yan flew and arrived below the seraph statue in the training field in the blink of an eye. The statue was about 5 meters tall. Shi Yan's statue was used to show the power of the Western Divine Realm, but now the statue had been smashed into a pile of rubble by Mara. However, the base was still there. Mara and the others were all idiots. They did not know that the base was where the secret was. It was also one of the entrances to the underground training field. Creak. Shi Yan pushed a protruding stone on the base. After moving it 2 squares on the left and right, the stone below slowly opened, revealing a stone path leading straight to the bottom. Great! She smiled cheerfully and walked in with Doll's original spirit. Then she closed the entrance and raised the Chiwe sword high up. Light shone in all directions and illuminated the surroundings. The layout of the entire underground training field was not damaged at all. The army of the devil world did not seem to notice the mystery here. Eva said, I remember, there's a storage room next to the beast fighting room. It's like a temporary shelter. It was originally proposed by Li Fei. It's also a small underground lair for Li Fei. Sister, you can go to the storage room to take a look. Yes. Shi Yan walked down the stone steps, and after confirming that there was no one around, she turned around and went to the storeroom. Woo-woo, he pushed open the door of the storage room. It had been a long time since anyone had come. The sound of the ventilation was like the howling of ghosts. There was even a huge spider web on the door and dust kept falling. Shi Yan narrowed her eyes and used the Chiwe sword to pry open the spider webs. She smelled a rotten smell and saw that there was no food in the storage room. Instead, it was filled with all kinds of books, making it look like a library. As for these books, most of them were from the education section of the Trial Academy, such as The Origin of Power, The Theory of the Beginning of Light, and so on. They were all things that Li Fei loved. Hiding a whole set of books in this place showed that Li Fei had the foresight to do so. Even if the Western Divine Realm was destroyed, at least their civilization was still here. These books could be said to have preserved at least half of the civilization of the Western Divine Realm. If Li Fei dies in battle, it would be such a pity. Shi Yan murmured, she is a rare talent. Yes, she is also our mutual friend. I hope she has already escaped. Eva's figure flew out of the broken sword and stood beside Shi Yan. She said with a smile, Sister, do I look like a ghost now? Shi Yan burst into laughter, don't mess around. You're affecting my search for the Radiant Oregon. Eva stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, why do I feel like I'm happier after dying than I was when I was alive? I feel like I'm free now. I am me and nothing else. I hope you can be like this forever, no longer bound by anything. Shi Yan smiled meaningfully and said, no matter what, when you come back to life you can stay by my side. We'll go find Xin and Lin Muyu. We'll live with them and be their super big light bulb. What do you think? Eva was startled and said, Lin Muyu is the god king of the Eastern Heaven Realm. Will he not tolerate my identity? Don't worry, Yu is not the kind of person who haggles over the smallest details. He is very casual. How casual? He casually married 2 great beauties of the righteous gods. Xin and Tang Xiaoxi have both ascended to the righteous gods. You also felt it, right? Yes. We can't fall behind. Yes, help me find the Radiant Oregon, but I don't have a physical body so I can't help you. In the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. Li Fei's office had been turned upside down. Other than some small weapons and underwear that she had collected, there was nothing else. After a short rest, it was already night. When night came, Shi Yan planned to continue searching on the ground. However, it was clear that this night was not peaceful. Just as Shi Yan was rummaging on the ground, a group of Mara flew over her head. Jia Jia? They circled around, causing Shi Yan, who was hiding under a pile of dead wood, to feel very nervous. A few minutes later, Mara and the others actually landed. One by one, they landed on the broken wall like vultures and looked around with sharp eyes. One of the Mara snorted and said, "This place seems to be different from a few days ago?" "What's different?" Another Mara with red chest hair asked. "Feels like these stones were not originally in this position." That Mara stood in the rubble and said, "Look, there are footprints here. There are traces of someone searching. Maybe those lazy Mara on the ground are looking for food or humans here. Humph, those lazy fellows." Suddenly, the body of the red chest hair Mara trembled and he said, "No, I think I smell the scent of a living person. That's right, the scent of a living person is over there. Quickly fly over and take a look. We can eat humans tonight." The group of two-winged devils flew away like a flock of startled crows. Under the dead wood, Shi Yan stood up slowly and frowned slightly. "The scent of a living person? What do you mean? Could it be that they can smell my scent?" "No." Eva said, "Sister, you still have the Godhead, so you won't emit the scent of a living person. There must be someone else here. We are not the only ones in this trial. Should we follow them secretly and take a look?" "Yes." Shi Yan's movement technique was outstanding, and she disappeared into the darkness in the blink of an eye. In the distance, the two-winged Mara shrieked incessantly, and they surrounded a person like a swarm of flies. They didn't seem to want to kill, but to brandish their weapons to force the person to lose the courage to resist. Under the messy stabs, the woman's clothes were torn apart, and her fair and clean body was revealed. Her figure was shockingly good. Furthermore, Shi Yan could hear whimpers and screams. The screams sounded familiar. Eva's primordial spirit could see more clearly, and she said with a trembling voice, "Sister, that woman seems to be Li Fei. She really didn't leave. She's still in the trial." "That's right, it was Li Fei. Her long hair was very messy, and the bun at the back of her head was messed up. She no longer had the style of an office lady. Her dress had almost been stripped by the two-winged Mara, and there were streaks of blood on her body. Mara ate humans, and now that Li Fei had degenerated into a mortal, she would soon become Mara's meal. What should we do?" Eva was anxious. "Sister, attack now or else Li Fei will be killed by Mara." Shi Yan shook her head, and her eyes shone with wisdom. "No, if I go to kill Mara directly I'll be exposed. It's better to think of a way to lure them away." "How?" "I have my ways." As she spoke, Shi Yan suddenly clenched her fist. Suddenly the surrounding aura and power began to change. The 6 wings behind her stretched out faintly, and a wave of divine power passed through the wall and blasted straight into the mountain outside. The huge force turned into a pillar of light that shot into the sky, and the entire trial shook. If she wasn't very familiar with this move, she probably wouldn't be able to use such a powerful force in another place. Kiki, the two-winged Mara were shocked, and they didn't care about the delicious meal that was Li Fei anymore. They all flew up and charged straight into the distance. Mara and the others were all idiots. In the blink of an eye, they all flew away and not a single one was left to stand guard. Shi Yan turned into a cold light and flew over. She gently grabbed Li Fei in her arms, and turned to charge into the entrance of the underground secret room. The trembling Li Fei originally thought that she couldn't escape death. She only dared to raise her head when she was held under Shi Yan's armpit. She saw a familiar face and she couldn't help but cry, "Lady Shi Yan? Lady Shi Yan, is that you? Is it really you?" "It's me. Long time no see, Li Fei. Let's hide in the secret room first." "Okay." In the secret room, Li Fei was still in a state of shock. She sat in her office and quickly combed her hair. She pulled out a fountain pen from the table and wrapped it around her hair into a beautiful bun. She asked, "Is my hair messed up?" "It's not messed up at all." Eva's image flew out. "Lady Eva?" Li Fei was shocked. "It's me, but I'm a ghost now." Eva laughed. This didn't scare Li Fei. Who was Li Fei? Ghosts and such were not strange to her. Shi Yan sat down on her desk and crossed her long legs. She asked, "Li Fei, what's going on? Claude has already left, so why haven't you left?" "Yes, the ruler has already left." Li Fei was a little disappointed. "But I and over 100 other angels thought that we shouldn't abandon this place, so we stayed to defend against the enemy. However, we didn't expect the demon realm to be so strong. In just a few months we were almost all killed." Divine punishment took away our divine power, so we couldn't leave even if we wanted to. 7 days ago, the last battle angel was also eaten by Mara. I could only hide in the cave outside the trial and only come out at night to look for food. No wonder you were caught. Yin frowned. Are you very hungry? Yes. Then why didn't you return to this secret room? There's no food in the secret room. Who said so? Look at this. Yin dragged out a box from under her desk. It was full of compressed biscuits. Wow, Li Fei almost cried tears of joy. I almost forgot that I used to hoard these. Eat quickly. Yes. Li Fei ate quickly while Yin handed her a water bottle. Oh, there's one more important thing. Oh, what is it? Please tell me, milord. Don't you still have a radiant primordial stone? Where is it? Ah. Li Fei was shocked. Milord, why are you looking for the radiant primordial stone? To revive Eva. But the radiant primordial stone was stolen a month ago. It's now in the radiant temple. Those Mara are very afraid of the power of the radiant primordial stone, so they sealed it. It was taken away. Yin narrowed her eyes. Milord Yin, do you have a plan? Li Fei asked. Yes, although it's a little impractical. Tell me first, milord. Take back the radiant primordial stone, revive Eva, and then rebuild the Western Divine Realm with the power of the three of us. We'll banish the Demon Realm army. Well, that does sound a little impractical. Are you willing to join us? Of course I'm willing to do such a challenging thing. Good. She didn't know why, but after seeing Li Fei, Yin's confidence had doubled. Chapter 1198. Li Fei tidied up her hair and recovered some of the charm of the vice headmaster. She said, there are around 5,000 Mara occupying the Radiant Saint Hall. They're basically all two-winged Mara and poisonous Mara. They're led by a Holy King-level demon god called Shallowin. Holy King? Yin frowned. Yes. Li Fei nodded and asked, Sir Yin, with your current strength, if you meet this Sally, do you have the confidence to defeat her? If it's just one Holy King, then there's no problem. But if there's over 5,000 Mara, then it'll be a little troublesome. These Mara are like flies that can't be killed completely. They're everywhere and extremely annoying. Yeah, so if we want to take back the Radiant, or we need to draw away Mara's army. However, we don't have enough people. If I draw them away, I'll definitely die. If you draw them away, I'm afraid I won't be able to take back the ore from Shallowin. As she said that, Li Fei crossed her long legs. Her face was filled with melancholy, as if she wanted to smoke a cigar to relieve her worries. Yin remained silent. She said, do we need to find some more helpers? Yes. Li Fei said, Lady Yin, do you still remember Terralyn and Lake? Of course. Where are they? Before the heavenly wrath descended, they had already returned to the Western Divine Realm. However, they were punished by the ruler, so they were imprisoned in the Western Divine Realm's Redemption Ridge prison. After so much time has passed, I think they're probably done for. The Redemption Ridge has either been invaded by Mara, or they've starved to death due to a lack of food. The Redemption Ridge isn't far from here. Shall we go take a look now? Yes. In the night, the door to the secret room opened gently. Yin and Li Fei turned into a streak of light and disappeared into the pitch-black night. The Redemption Ridge was barren. All the houses here had been burned down by Mara's group. As for the prison, it was built inside the mountain and was only guarded by a small sealed iron gate. On the iron door, the lock that symbolized power and imprisonment glowed faintly and was locked on the door in perfect condition. Yin was stunned. The prison was not discovered, nor was it opened. Oh no, are they still inside? Yin slashed open the seal lock with one palm and flew into the dungeon. It was dark and damp everywhere, and there were only a few small doors on both sides of the stone path. The dungeon was a small space carved out of the mountain, and the surrounding space laws were sealed, so there was no way to break through the void to escape. Staying here would only lead to death. Terralyn. Terralyn. Yin shouted a few times, but no one responded. She couldn't help but feel distressed. Had Terralyn really starved to death here? Li Fei suddenly stretched out her hand and pointed into the distance. Sir, look, there seems to be light over there. A beam of dim light came from afar. Sure enough, there was still light in the dungeon. Yin quickly walked in and saw that the door of a cell was opened. There were 4 people sitting against the wall inside. 2 of them were Terralyn and Lake. They were so hungry that they were almost skin and bones, and there was no light in their eyes. When they saw Yin and Li Fei, Terralyn's eyes suddenly lit up. she said in disbelief. Lady Shiyen? Deputy Dean Li Fei, you're really not dead. That's great, that's great. Li Fei was overjoyed. Shiyen could see that Terralyn and the others were at their limit, and they would definitely starve to death if they came a day or two later. She quickly took out some fine food from her dimensional bag and placed it in front of everyone with water. Don't talk first, eat something to restore your strength, she said. Thank you, Lady Shiyen. Terralyn and Lake thanked her together. After eating a little, Terralyn leaned softly against the cold wall and closed her eyes to rest. After nearly an hour they recovered a lot of strength and opened their eyes. Terralyn said, "This place has been occupied by the demon realm. Lady Shiyen, why are you back? Let's not talk about me first. Let me ask you what happened here." Actually, Terralyn paused for a while before continuing, "As soon as we came back, we were imprisoned here by the order of the ruler. We don't know what happened outside. We can only hear the cries of the demon realm and the screams of the battle angels when they were killed. We all know that the Western Divine Realm has fallen. How did you last so long?" Shiyen asked. Terralyn said, "We broke the door of the room, but because we lost our divine power, we couldn't open the door of the prison. Deputy Dean Li Fei also came once, but she couldn't open the door and left. These days we can only rely on the little food left in the prison to survive. When we ran out of food, we dug the bracken underground and some hard-to-swallow crystal fragments." "You guys actually eat crystal?" "Yes." Terralyn looked depressed. "There were originally 15 people in the prison, but then people kept dying, until now only the 4 of us are left." Shiyen was a little surprised. Terralyn smiled bitterly. "Lady Shiyen, please don't misunderstand. The dead have been buried by us. We are the angels of the Western Divine Realm, we will never eat our companions." Shiyen said with relief, "You've worked hard, Terralyn. You did the right thing. Now that I have returned to the Western Divine Realm, the first thing I want to do is to take back the primal light stone of the Temple of Light and resurrect Eva. Are you willing to help me?" "We are willing." Terralyn, Lake and the others got up and bowed. At this moment, in the eyes of the people of the Western Divine Realm, Shiyen was the real ruler. As for Claude, he was just a villain who escaped and was not worthy of being called a ruler. But Lake held the bowl and frowned. "But we have all lost our divine power. We are just mortals. How can we help Lady Shiyen take back the primal light stone? To be honest, it is difficult for me to even condense the king's combat flame." Terralyn smiled. "You don't have to be reckless to take back the primal light stone, right?" Shiyen asked in surprise. "You have a way?" "I know a very important piece of news." "Well, tell me." Terralyn stood up and said, "The person guarding the Redemption Ridge prison was originally the Radiant Angel Mark. Before Mark left, he revealed a piece of news to me. Claude escaped in a hurry and left the artifact Lost Paradise in his room. As long as we can enter Claude's room and find the Lost Paradise, we can use the Lost Paradise to create an illusion and lure away the demon army of the Light Temple. We can take back the primal light stone without bloodshed. What do you think, Lady Shiyen?" "The Lost Paradise is very powerful. If we can really find it, it is indeed possible. However, if we have the ability to enter Claude's room and steal the Lost Paradise, it is much easier to steal the primal light stone." Li Fei giggled. "That may not be true. Claude's room is not heavily guarded, and there is no Mara guarding it at all. On the other hand, the primal light stone is guarded by 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. It is very difficult to get it. I think Terralyn's suggestion is very feasible. Then let's act according to this plan. I will steal the Lost Paradise tonight," Shiyen said in a low voice. "But," Terralyn blinked her eyes. "After all, that is an area occupied by the demon world. Once Lady Shiyen is discovered, it may be very troublesome." "It's okay, I have this." Shiyen gently opened her left hand, and suddenly a mask with a faint luster appeared in her hand. She said, "This thing is called the Mask of Nothingness. It can disguise myself so that Mara cannot detect me. Even if I am close, it is impossible for them to discover that I am a different species. This will do." Terralyn was stunned. "Lady Shiyen, have you really met someone from the demon world?" "More than just meeting." Shiyen sighed. "This Mask of Nothingness was given to me by Ziyen. Ziyen, that despicable and shameless guy, used me to complete his power seizure in the demon world. Now, Ziyen is the lord of the demon world." Terralyn said helplessly, "Then please be careful, lady. We will wait for you here?" "All right." Shiyen took a deep breath and said, "My power alone is too weak. Once I can resurrect Eva, the power of 2 seraphim will be enough to take back the Radiant Temple. At that time, we will do everything we can to restore your power. Yes. Late at night in the side hall of the Radiant Temple. As a ruler, Claude had always been cautious. His residence was not in the main hall of the Radiant Temple, but in a slightly remote side hall. At this time, it was already overgrown with weeds, snakes, and rats. It was very barren. Russell, with light footsteps, Xian, wrapped in a demon cloak, slowly walked through the corridor. Her face was covered by the mask of nothingness, which conjured the face of Mara. As she walked, there was suddenly a sharp whistle from the eaves to the side. It was a patrolling two-winged Mara. He landed on the eaves and roared at Xian, "Brat, who are you? Why have you appeared here? Don't you know that this place has been listed as a forbidden zone by Lady Charlevon?" Xian raised his head and looked at the two-winged Mara. His hand gently moved towards the hilt of his sword. Unexpectedly, the two-winged Mara's expression immediately changed. He smiled awkwardly. All right. I was just saying casually. Brother, do whatever you want to do. I'll pretend like I didn't see anything. Don't draw your sword just because you don't like it." Xian did not speak and continued to walk forward. The two-winged Mara also tactfully flew away. It seemed that it was the same in the realm of devils. Causing less trouble and doing more things was their code of conduct. It was very similar to humans. With a squeak, she pushed open the door of Claude's room that had been abandoned for a long time. It was clear that the place had been searched. The bookshelves and weapon racks had been pushed down. Xian squinted her eyes. She used her divine power to search a little and sensed the location of the lost paradise. She spread her 5 fingers and covered the wall, and a faint suction force generated from her palms slid out with a brick. The brick was hollow and in the center was a fist-sized crystal. There were endless changes inside and it was the lost paradise. "You're really here." Xian held the lost paradise and put it into her space bag. She turned and quietly left the room as if she had never been there. Chapter 1199. In the prison, the lost paradise was placed flat on the table. Terrelin, Lake, and the others stared at it with their eyes wide open. This small stone was the lost paradise, known as one of the most precious artifacts in the Western Divine Realm. It was said that those who were heartbroken and desperate could obtain everything they wanted in the lost paradise, such as finding their loved ones and resurrecting the dead. In fact, the real use of the lost paradise was to create an illusion that made people unable to resist. What a beautiful stone. Terrelin sighed. This was the first time she had seen the legendary artifact so closely. It's a pity that Claude couldn't make good use of it. Eva's image appeared and said, if he could make good use of it, I'm afraid the Western Divine Realm wouldn't have been instantly defeated and occupied by the Demon Realm. What's the specific plan? Li Fei asked. The plan is, Xian smiled slightly. It's actually very simple. I'll go to the Radiant Temple during the day and publicly kill some Mara to attract all their troops over. Then I'll use the Lost Paradise to lure them into an illusion and not be able to come out. After that, I'll enter the Radiant Temple, find the Radiant Primordial Stone, resurrect Eva and fight them head-on. This plan is really thorough. Li Fei complained. Xian pursed her red lips. That's right. This is the most thorough plan I can think of. The next day, the entire plan was carried out by Xian alone. Otherwise, anyone else might become a burden. The morning sun shone gently on the sky above the Radiant Temple. Mara was flapping his wings, and the ground was filled with Stinger Mara who was lying on his back and basking in the sun. These stingers had a row of sharp thorns on their backs and they were poisonous. In the Battle of Zhangjiabao, most of the soldiers who died in the Longdan army camp were actually poisoned to death. Whoosh! The originally quiet sky was suddenly disturbed by a sword chi. It was a sword chi that came from the dimensional space. With one strike, 3 two-winged Mara were immediately dismembered. Then, a beautiful figure appeared in the sky with 6 wings spread out behind her. The Chiwa sword in her hand was shining brightly. Was Xian. The Seraphim is here. The blazing angel was here. Sound the alarm. Winged Mara shouted. Xian wasn't in a hurry to make a move. She just looked at Mara calmly. Inside the divine hall, countless Mara flew out, densely packed together. Xian couldn't count them all, but no matter how she looked at it, there were almost 5,000 of them. She smirked. Idiots, come at me. Dozens of two-winged Mara pounced on her. Xian blocked them with her blade. She slashed left and right as if there was no one there. However, her body kept retreating, which proved that she was losing. The Mara went crazy because a woman's voice came from behind. The one who kills Shi Yan will be granted the title of Holy King. This sentence was enough to make all the Mara go crazy. One by one they pounced on Shi Yan. However, they didn't realize that there was a barrier between them and Shi Yan. Ripples spread out, and they seemed to have pounced into a mirror. On the opposite side of the mirror, the two-winged Mara and poison stinger Mara waved their claws wildly. However, they were only fighting a wisp of air. There was nothing at all. Lost paradise. It was too easy to play with these Mara in the palm of his hand. Inside the light temple, accompanied by the rustling of footsteps, Shi Yan's real body walked into the familiar temple. She had seen Claude countless times here, and had also given orders to the tribes of the Western Divine Realm countless times here. However, the glory was gone now and there was no news of Claude. The Western Divine Realm had fallen. There was no leader, and she had to shoulder the heavy responsibility of reviving it. "You've finally come." A voice came from the side temple. After going around the huge stone pillar, a beautiful and enchanting woman appeared. It was Sheriwen, the Holy King who held a sword surging with flames. She said with slight disdain, "I heard that you were once the strongest seraph in the Western Divine Realm. Now, after heavenly punishment, you actually managed to retain your divine power. It's not easy to cultivate, but you've come here to die." "Do you know why I've come?" Shi Yan asked with a smile. "I don't know and I don't want to know. You're already a dead person." The corner of Sheriwen's mouth rose and a cruel smile appeared. Shi Yan looked into the distance with a profound gaze. In the hall far away, there were two huge metal chests on both sides of the throne, and the power of the Radiant Ore came from them. That's right, it was the power of the Radiant Ore, and there was more than one Radiant Oregon. There were at least 5 Radiant Ore in those chests. It turned out that Claude's treasure had been found. Sheriwen took the initiative to attack. She raised her sharp sword and a demonic flame rose from the ground. After all, she was the Holy King and her attack was fast and fierce. However, her opponent was even stronger, the former seraph. Shi Yan's power had been reduced by about 20% due to heavenly punishment, but the remaining 80% was enough to deal with the Holy King. The Chiwe sword swept horizontally, forcibly blocking the invasion of the demonic flame. Shi Yan pounced in the air, and the light from her 6 wings exploded. Her sword fell towards Sheriwen's head with the weight of a mountain. Sheriwen clearly didn't expect Shi Yan to be so fast and so strong. When she raised her sword to block, she found that she couldn't block it at all. The long sword broke into 2 with a bang, and she was sent flying while vomiting blood. After all, Shi Yan's sword was the strongest attack of the 7 chops, God-slaying. It was already a miracle that Sheriwen didn't die after taking this attack. "You want to kill me?" Sheriwen, who had fallen into the corner of the wall, slowly stood up and wiped the corner of her mouth in a sorry state. Shi Yan didn't care about her at all. She walked forward and slashed open the 2 chests. Indeed, there were a total of 6 Radiant Oregon. She quickly put them all into her bag and turned around with a faint smile. "Sheriwen, don't provoke me or else I'll definitely kill you next time." Outside, the roars of Mara and the others could be heard. It seemed that the lost paradise had been broken by them. Shi Yan smiled sweetly, and with a twist of her slender waist, she slowly disappeared into the space, shattering the void and leaving. Sheriwen stood there in a daze. What a beautiful seraph. At night, in the secret room of the trial grounds, Terralyn, Lake, and the others were much more energetic after resting, but this place couldn't be considered safe. Mara's roars constantly came from the ground above the secret room, as well as the heavy muffled sound of demonic flames bombarding the ground. "They're searching for us," Terralyn said with certainty. "It's okay, they won't be able to find us." Shi Yan held the broken sword in one hand and the Radiant Ore in the other. Blood flowed from her left wrist, floating in the air like ribbons. Then it converged with the light divine power flowing out of the Radiant Ore, gradually transforming into Eva's appearance. She wanted to use her bloodline as a guide to reconstruct Eva's body. "All men turn around. Don't look back without my order," Shi Yan said in a low voice. Lake and the other 2 men immediately turned around. In a scene that they couldn't see, Eva's body became clearer and more complete. Her bright skin and beautiful face were the same as before. The moment her spirit entered her body, she couldn't help but let out a deep sigh of relief. A pair of beautiful eyes looked at Shi Yan. "Sister, I've been resurrected?" "Yes, you haven't completely resurrected yet. Don't talk and continue to absorb the power of the Radiant Oregon. How much power you can recover depends on you." "Yes." Eva nodded heavily and closed her eyes. Her proud body slowly rotated in the air, surrounded by the bright light of the Radiant Oregon. Just as Shi Yan said, how much divine power she could recover depended on the radiant Oregon. At the same time, Shi Yan's body trembled slightly and her face was a little pale. Activating the reincarnation spell had consumed a lot of energy. The whole process lasted for about half a day. In the middle of the night, Shi Yan took a deep breath and stopped the operation of power. Li Fei, give Eva a set of clothes. Yes. Li Fei took out a set of battle angel clothes and handed it to Eva. Eva shyly put on the clothes and said, you can turn around now. The three male angels turned around. Lake took the lead and knelt down. Greetings, blazing angel Eva. No need for formalities. Get up. Yes. Li Fei said, Lady Shi Yan, tell us about the next step of your plan. Shi Yan pointed to the table at the side. There were still 5 intact radiant ore there. The next step of the plan is all here. Oh? What do you mean? Li Fei was stunned. Shi Yan smiled. It's very simple. I discovered an important piece of information in the Lost Paradise. As long as the laws of nature are indestructible, the law of light is even more indestructible. Heavenly retribution only took away your divine power but not your talent. Right now your bodies are like a dried-up lake, and the radiant ore is the lake water. If I pour this lake water into your bodies, you will be able to become gods again. As for how much power you can recover, that will depend on your luck. Become gods again? Li Fei and Terralyn were stunned. Excitement and joy appeared on their faces. Yes, regain your status as gods. Shi Yan said, but you are not gods of the heavenly path of Mahayana, so you can only be called old gods, not new gods. If you want to go further, you can only rely on comprehending the heavenly path of Mahayana to obtain power. From tomorrow onwards, Eva and I will help the 5 of you refine the radiant Oregon. We will strive to restore your divine power as soon as possible. Only then can we rebuild our Western divine realm. Yes, thank you, madam. Everyone bowed. The once brilliant Western divine realm had been destroyed, but a new hope was shining like a firefly in this small secret room. Demon Realm. In the Fekta Temple, Ancestor Emperor Ziyan held the god-destroying tower and looked at everything in the 6 realms. Behind him, Holy King Baifeng said respectfully, Ancestor Emperor, Shi Yan has established a foothold in the ruins of the Western divine realm. Through the demon god's eye, I found out that she has resurrected Eva. Ancestor Emperor, please send an army to annihilate her. In addition, you can also use the god-destroying tower to kill her. Ancestor Emperor Ziyan shook his head. No, there is someone stronger that deserves to be killed with the god-destroying tower. Who? First-class god, mad god. Ancestor Emperor wants to kill the 7 luminaries demon emperor? Yes, as long as the 7 luminaries demon emperor is not dead, I will not be at ease. Ziyan looked at the dim god-destroying tower and said, after the god-destroying tower absorbs demonic chi for another half a day, I will launch an attack. Let's see how long this mad god can be arrogant for. Yes, Ancestor Emperor is wise. Chapter 1200. Northern Heaven Realm, Black Rock City. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Dong Ming were having their morning tea. Due to the arrival of the Demon Emperor, they had repelled Mara's attacks time and time again, greatly reversing the situation. This caused the Northern Heaven Realm to regain their fighting spirit and began to contend with the Demon World's army. The Heavenly Sound Scroll has already sealed 3 righteous gods, but it's still too slow. Dong Ming held the teacup in his hand and smiled playfully. If the 4 great god realms don't have 1,000 righteous gods, it's unlikely that they will be able to defeat the Demon World. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor smiled disapprovingly. Demon Emperor, what are you laughing at? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor pointed at his nose and said, if all the righteous gods were as strong as me, just 10 of them would be enough to destroy the Demon World. Dong Ming couldn't continue, but he also knew how powerful the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was. He was indeed qualified to say such words after clashing head-on with tens of thousands of Mara. In the past few days, Dong Ming had already experienced the power of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. Even if he recovered to his peak strength, he was afraid that 2 of him together would not be a match for the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. After a few seconds of silence, Dong Ming changed the topic. 2 of the 3 righteous gods are in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Speaking of which, it's quite unimaginable. There are so many planes in the 6 realms, but why are they all in the Shattered Cauldron realm? Because the righteousness there is the most abundant. The 7 Brilliance Demon Monarchs said calmly, after the heavenly punishment, the gods have fallen into depravity. Every plane is busy fighting for the territories that originally belonged to the gods. Only the Shattered Cauldron realm is fighting for the greater good of the world. They are fighting for the sake of the people, to kill those who might fall into the demonic path. That's why I said righteousness is the strongest, but Lin Muyu, Qinin, and the others' opponents are your old subordinates Dong Ming, Yang Shang and Wu Chang. Dong Ming said awkwardly, indeed, the status of the Northern Heaven realm was determined by power in the past, causing the gods to lose the compassion and wisdom that gods should have. Now that Wu Chang and the others have fallen into the demonic path, I really have nothing to say. It's my fault, the shame of the Northern Heaven realm. The Seven Brilliance Demon Monarch raised his head and glanced at Qin Nan. I've been helping you for so many days. I hope you don't fall into the path of demons in the end. It would be a great loss for me. Dong Ming clenched her fist. What kind of person do you think I am? I would rather die than bow my head to an evil demon for power. That's good. The Demon Emperor continued to drink his tea, but at this moment, the sky above suddenly rumbled with thunder, and bolts of lightning appeared in the west. That was the direction of the Western Divine Realm, which was also the direction of the Chaos Realm and the Devil Realm. What kind of power is that? Dong Ming was shocked. He's here. The teacup in the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor's hand fell to the ground, but he had already arrived at the center of the hall. Mahayana Heavenly Tao Divine Power danced wildly around him as he said with a stern gaze, Dong Ming, lend me your little mirror. Someone has their eyes on me. Dong Ming was stunned. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to snatch it? All right. Dong Ming took out the Winter God treasure mirror and threw it into the air. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor's speed was extremely fast, and he took a big stride forward to grab the treasure mirror. At the same time, the sky above Blackrock City exploded, and a beam of light descended from the sky. The light was formed by cold demonic flames, and the layers were stacked like a tower. The power was like an endless tide, and it completely locked onto the position of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor. Damn it, they are really coming for me. The Seven Luminaries Demon Monarch gathered his strength in his arms and raised the Winter God treasured mirror. He yelled, What's so great about hiding in the dark all day? Ziyin, you piece of trash, come at me. You have the demon subduing pagoda, I have the demon revealing mirror, take this. Swoosh. A beam of light soared into the sky, and endless frost followed. The Winter God treasure mirror was indeed the treasure of the Northern Heaven realm, and the millions of layers of frost continuously dissolved the destructive power of the God-destroying pagoda. At the same time, the beam of light was counterattacked by the God-destroying pagoda. In terms of strength, the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor was not inferior to Ziyin, and with the special effect of the Winter God treasure mirror, he was naturally not inferior. In the demon realm, Ancestor Emperor Ziyan's scream reverberated in the sky above the Fekta temple. He squinted his eyes, and blood flowed continuously from the corner of his eyes. His whole body trembled, and he said, What is this light? It pierced my eyes. Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor, this bastard, he actually counterattacked me, I am so angry. It's the Winter God treasure mirror. Bai Feng Holy King said confidently, Ancestor Emperor, other than the Winter God treasure mirror, there is no other divine weapon that can attack the demon realm from the 6 realms. What the hell is the Winter God treasure mirror? Ziyin struggled to open his eyes, but his eyes were bloodshot. The Winter God treasure mirror is a holy artifact formed by the spiritual power of the Northern Heaven realm for millions of years. It can condense frost and can also see through illusions. If it is used by a powerful enough god, it can even kill people from beyond the heavens and control objects from the universe. It seems that the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor has already obtained the Winter God treasure mirror, and won't be so easy to deal with. At least, it is unlikely that the God-destroying pagoda alone can kill the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor. Ziyin held the God-destroying pagoda tightly and said, Even if I don't use the God-destroying pagoda, I still have the tens of millions of Mara army in the demon realm. I am not afraid that the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor will not die. Pass down the order, prepare to launch an all-out attack, and destroy the 6 realms before the Mahayana heavenly gods awaken. The future world belongs to the demon realm. Yes. Black Rock City, the main hall. Demon Emperor, since the God-destroying pagoda has been repelled, shouldn't you return the Winter God treasure mirror to me? Dong Ming said. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor silently kept the mirror in his arms and said, No, this Winter God treasure mirror can't be given to you for the time being. It's safer to keep it with me. I'm doing this for your own good. Dong Ming's eyes almost popped out. Come on, how are you doing this for my own good? The seven luminaries demon emperor took a deep breath and said, Firstly, the demon realm Ziyen used the god-destroying pagoda to kill the righteous gods of the six realms, so with the winter god treasure mirror by my side, I won't be afraid of Ziyen. Secondly, your northern heaven realm doesn't even have a third-tier lower god, so Ziyen won't waste his energy to kill you mortals. Thirdly, your northern heaven realm's current strength can't protect the winter god treasure mirror, so it's safer to keep it with me. You also understand the logic of an innocent man getting into trouble because of the winter god treasure mirror? Ziyen will definitely become worse. If you insist on keeping the winter god treasure mirror by your side, then I'll return it to you. But if Ziyen leads the demon realm's army to attack Black Rock City and snatch the winter god treasure mirror, I'll definitely stand by and watch you get destroyed while eating melon seeds. Dong Ming felt a chill in his heart. Demon Emperor, you're taking advantage of others when they're in a precarious situation. This is not the action of a righteous god. What about you? You don't know how to help others and you still have the nerve to call yourself the Northern God King? Dong Ming was speechless and said, I can only lend the Winter God treasure mirror to you temporarily. Once the Northern Heaven realm needs it, you have to return it. The temporary borrowing period is 1 month. If you agree, I'll let you take it away. If you don't agree, I, Dong Ming, can't sell the treasures of the previous kings even if the Northern Heaven realm doesn't want it anymore. Deal. The seventh demon emperor laughed heartily. Eastern Heaven Realm, Hall of Great Accomplishment. In the silent night above the pavilion, Ziyao, who was sitting quietly in contemplation, suddenly opened her eyes. Her pair of beautiful eyes seemed to see through the sorrow of all living things. Her long eyelashes trembled a few times and 2 lines of clear tears fell. At that moment she saw the suffering of all living beings, heard the silent crying, tasted the bitterness of parting, and there seemed to be thousands of voices shouting and praying in her ears. All living beings had never given up on praying and believing in God. What is Mahayana? Ziyao asked herself softly. Since ancient times, cultivators had cultivated their own state of mind, trained their own physique, and became as strong as God. What they cultivated was the strength of their own self. All living beings exterminate demons and each of them save themselves. This was the minor heavenly way. The Mahayana heavenly way was the opposite. One thought was only for the common people, not to save myself but to save the world. All living beings were my fate, and the difficulties of others were my difficulties. The corner of Ziyao's mouth rose slightly and she smiled. So, this is the Mahayana heavenly way. With a single thought, the nebula in the sky began to move, the giant heaven's melody scroll began to disperse the demonic aura in the air, lines of golden text began to appear on top of the scroll. On top of the scroll, a new name appeared. It was Ziyao, Mahayana Heaven's Path Second-Tier Superior God, title Impartial Goddess. Ziyao had finally stepped into the Mahayana heavenly way. The mortal realm. Thunder could be faintly heard from the horizon. On the hillside, a line of text appeared on the crystal in Lin Muyu's hand. He glanced at it and said, Ziyao Fairy has become a god finally, another pillar god has appeared. Tang Xiaoxi said, That's great, the power of the Mahayana heavenly way has increased again. That's right, the battle for the heaven realm is about to begin, that is the true main battlefield. Lin Muyu was a bit eager but he couldn't help himself. He still hasn't seen through the Mahayana heavenly way, nor could he recover his divine power, he could only continue to lead this war as a mortal. Suddenly Tang Xiaoxi's gaze became gloomy. Mu, do you feel that? Someone is passing through the forest of no return. Lin Muyu released his spirit pulse technique and carefully sensed for a bit. Sure enough, there seemed to be a dense amount of presences passing through the forest of no return's path 10 miles away. Someone is passing through the ancient road of no return? Lin Muyu was surprised. Yes. Tang Xiaoxi said, Who do you think it is? Big brother Feng, Chen Feng, and the others are fighting with the Shang army in Xishan province. At this time, who else but Chen Yu would pass through the ancient road of no return and enter Huiyuan province? Come, let's go and take a look, don't make too much noise. Yes, hold me tight, I'll fly you over. Okay. In the night sky, 2 figures flew close to the surface of the jungle, and soon entered the jungle on both sides of the ancient road of no return. Looking from afar, although the cold wind was blowing on the ancient road of no return, there were groups of torches, the sound of horse hooves and the sound of wheels. The light of the torches shone on the armor and weapons. giving off a terrifying luster. A regular army was passing through. The war flag flew, and with the dim light, Lin Muyu said softly, "It's the Heaven's End Army, the most elite army under Qinyu. From the looks of it, it seems that the Heaven's End Army has come out in full force." Tang Xiaoxi smiled slightly. "I finally understand why Sun Shi led the army to fight Feng Jixing in Xishan province. Now that I think about it, it was like he was fishing. When the Qin and Shang empires fight, they will naturally end up dispirited, and Qinyu, this fox, will definitely not miss the opportunity to reap the benefits. He has already taken the bait. Once the Heaven's End Army enters Huiyuan province, it will be equivalent to roasting the Celestial Empire on a bonfire. Qinyu is so smart, but he still fell for Sun Shi's trick." Lin Muyu's gaze was faint. "It's because of greed. Let's go. Since Qinyu has entered Huiyuan province and entered the northern battlefield, then we should start attacking from the south and burn Qinyu's backyard." "Yes." Chapter 1201. On the 12th of June, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi returned to Red Rock City after settling the affairs of the demonic spirit tribe. Before entering the city, they could already hear the loud and clear sounds of training coming from the Longdan army camp in the north of the city. After resting for a few months, the Longdan army camp's edge had been reforged once again. Now the only thing on everyone's mind was revenge and attack. Wei Chou led a cavalry out of the city to welcome them. "Lin General, you're finally back. The lunch prepared for you and Princess Shi is ready." Lin Muyu looked at the sun and said, "It's already afternoon. Send the lunch to the conference hall. Order all the high-ranking officers to enter the conference hall and prepare the map." "Yes." After entering the marshal's residence, Qin Yin, Chu Yao, and Si Kongyao also arrived. They welcomed Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi into the conference hall. Not long after, Situ Sen, Fengshi, Feng Zhanlin, and the rest all arrived. Lin Muyu held a bowl of rice that was covered with meat slices and green peppers. She ate a few mouthfuls in front of everyone and quickly finished her meal. After putting down the bowl, she said, "The conference begins." Everyone stood up and saluted before sitting down again. The map was spread out on the carpet in the center of the conference hall. Lin Muyu walked to the Red Rock province and said, "Qinyu has already personally led the 200,000 Heaven's End Corps into the Huiyuan province. They should arrive at Huiyuan City in the afternoon. This way the pressure on Feng Jixing and Qianfeng will suddenly increase. We're 2,000 li away from the Huiyuan province. We can't provide reinforcements, but we can't just watch from the sidelines either." Situ Sin said in a low voice, "My lord, give the order. We're ready to attack at any time. There's no rush. We have to advance step by step." Lin Muyu took a few steps forward and stepped out of the Red Rock province. She stepped into the territory of the Celestial Empire and said, "Wei Chou, how many troops of the Celestial Empire are there outside Firewolf Pass?" Wei Chou said respectfully, reporting to Lin General, "Outside Firewolf Pass is the territory of the Celestial Empire. It's easy to defend and hard to attack. Their Vice Marshal, Song Liangqing, has personally led 180,000 troops to guard it. Half of the troops are of Song Liangqing's original troops, while the rest are transferred from the garrisons of the 4 southern provinces of the Celestial Empire. Of the troops are of the southern provinces." "Song Liangqing's troops?" A trace of killing intent flashed across Lin Muyu's face, but she quickly regained her composure and said, "4 months ago, the troops of Song Liangqing who ambushed us outside Red Rock City have been incorporated into this Southern Patrol Army, right?" "Yes, Marshal, they're all here." Wei Chou frowned and said, "But we still can't underestimate Song Liangqing's 180,000 troops. Their geographical advantage is too great. If we leave Firewolf Pass, we'll have to cross Qinglan River to reach Ji City. The river is rapid and the narrowest part is at least 50 meters wide. The bridge leading to Ji City has already been destroyed by Song Liangqing a month ago." Lin Muyu looked at the map and said, "It doesn't matter. There are many forests along the way. Order the soldiers to cut down trees along the way and directly build a pontoon bridge when we reach Qinglan River." Yes, although this problem has been solved, Ji City is very sturdy. There are mountains on both sides that we can't go around. Song Liangqing's 180,000 troops are defending the city, and we're extremely short of magic crystal cannons. It'll be very difficult to break through. Wei Chou pointed at the map and said, "The most important thing is that Scorching Han City is less than 800 miles away from Ji City. Zhou Binlong is leading 200,000 soldiers of the Judi army and is eyeing Scorching Han City covetously. Once we attack Ji City, the cavalry under Zhou Binlong will be able to reinforce within 3 days. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and asked, "How many troops do we have in Hongyan province now?" Situ Sun cupped his fists and said, "Reporting to Lin General, excluding the injured soldiers, there are 150,000 elite troops in Longdan army camp. The Bai Zhe mercenaries have 110,000 troops available. In addition to the garrison troops that were incorporated along the way, there are about 70,000 people. Oh, and 3 days ago the 30,000 armor demons that Marshal Qianfeng sent from Xishan province have also arrived. They are ready to be deployed by the marshal at any time." Lin Muyu smiled faintly. When did Qianfeng become so generous? He actually allocated 30,000 armor demons to me. How rare. Situ Sun lowered his voice and said, "Actually Qianfeng can't afford it anymore. He directly threw the 30,000 armor demons to us to eat our food. In less than 3 days, the 30,000 armor demons have eaten all the cattle and sheep in our pasture." Tang Xiaoxi, Qinin, and the other beauties all burst into laughter. The tense atmosphere was slightly eased. Lin Muyu thought for a while and said, "Originally we had an 80% chance of winning. Now that Qianfeng has given me 30,000 armor demons, we have a 100% chance of winning. Pass down my order. Dispatch all the troops in Longdan army camp, Bai Zhe mercenaries and 30,000 armor demons. Wei Chou will be the vanguard, Situ Sen will be the left army, Situ Shui will be the right army, and Si Kongyao will be the rear army. I will personally lead the middle army. Tomorrow we will leave Firewolf Pass and attack Ji City. Appoint Liu Bai as the logistics officer. He must take care of the food along the way. If he can't, he will be executed." "Yes." Everyone bowed in unison. Their wills were as strong as a fortress. 3 days later, a total of 290,000 troops left Firewolf Pass. Along the way they continuously swept away 3 camps of the Celestial Empire and directly entered Qinglan River. At this time the weather was much warmer. In the spring breeze, Qinglan River had been completely blocked. Song Liangqing actually took the initiative to attack. He set up a defense on the other side of Qinglan River. Heavy shields and archers were everywhere. A war was about to break out. Lin Muyu ordered to set up camp 5 miles away from Qinglan River and dig for water. Most of the water in Qinglan River was no longer drinkable. On the first day, countless fish had died. Song Liangqing was indeed ruthless. He had already poisoned the water. In the camp on the east bank, Song Liangqing, as the deputy commander of the Celestial Empire, was wearing a general robe with 4 golden stars. He was fidgeting in front of the sand table. His eyes flashed. He knew that Lin Muyu's army seemed to be advancing slowly, but in fact he could feel the murderous aura that Lin Muyu was suppressing. This army came with the flame of revenge. Lin Muyu would never forget the hatred of Su Jiantao on Bugu Mountain. Neither would the Qin Empire. "Deputy Commander?" A staff officer said respectfully, "We have already poured the poison into the upper reaches of Qinglan River late last night. It will force the enemy to not be able to drink water. The 50,000 troops have almost blocked the flat areas of Qinglan River. Qinglan River is an inland river. Lin Muyu's warships can't reach here. They can't do anything." "Is that so?" Song Liangqing looked at him indifferently and said, "Did His Majesty leave me a message before he left?" "Yes, His Majesty left you a brocade pouch." "Oh? Give it to me." "Yes." Song Liangqing took the brocade pouch from the staff officer. There was a piece of paper inside. He glanced at it. It was indeed Qin Yu's handwriting. It was a short line: "Guard Ji City. Don't attack. Wait for reinforcements." "What does His Majesty mean?" Song Liangqing asked. His Majesty must have a deep meaning for his foresight. The staff officer nodded and muttered, "Half a month ago, His Majesty led his personal guards to the eastern fertile area. Do you know what kind of people live there? Isn't it a barren land? No, there is a group of strange creatures living there. A group of creatures that are good at fighting at night." "You mean, the rat men?" Song Liangqing narrowed his eyes and said, "Did His Majesty reach an agreement with the rat men? Is he going to borrow the rat men's power to resist Lin Muyu's Longdan army camp?" "Yes, at least that's what I think. Otherwise, with His Majesty's shrewdness, how could he not defend the southern border and attack Huiyuan province? The rat men are despicable and shameless. Did His Majesty forget that they eat people?" Yes, a few days ago there was news of the rat men eating people in the eastern province, but the news was suppressed by the government. Could this be His Majesty's intention? "How dare you?" Song Liangqing's eyes were cold. Is His Majesty that kind of person? He will never use the flesh and blood of his people to exchange for reinforcements from the rat men. The staff officer smiled and no longer cared about this. He only said, His Majesty ordered us to defend Ji City. Do you still want to fight the Qin traders at Qinglan River? Qinglan River is also within Ji City's territory. We can delay them as long as we can. Song Liangqing said lightly, I'm just a little worried. Worried about what? The Qin traders to Mahayana heavenly gods? Yes. Song Liangqing said in a deep voice, pass down my order. Increase the size of the Imperial Guard camp from 2,000 to 8,000 people. Yes. In the forest to the west of Qinglan River, the royal flag was fluttering and the armored cavalry was coming and going. In the marshal's tent, a small scout bee was resting on a teacup. The rat men? Lin Muyu frowned and pondered for a long time. She asked, Lulu, do you think the rat men's abnormal behavior is man-made? It's my brother. In the laser image, Lulu's delicate body was fluttering in the air. She said, every group has its own survival rules. The rat men have always been nocturnal creatures. They are good at digging underground caves and feed on rabbits, wolves, cows and sheep. But these years, the rat men's group has become larger and larger, and their reproduction numbers have also increased. It has exceeded the requirements of the food chain. The rat men's food supply is not enough, so they choose to eat humans. Moreover, they have begun to move west. There are more than 100,000 of them. I guess they may have been bewitched and are targeting my brother's army. Do the rat men dig deep? Brother, don't worry. Their caves are not deep enough to bypass Qinglan River. But once you cross the river, you will enter the rat men's attack range. No wonder Song Liangqing dares to be so fearless. Lin Muyu clasped her fists and said, what are the rat men afraid of? The blood and body fluids of the rat men contain flammable components. As long as you attack with fire, you will naturally be able to defeat the rat men easily. However, brother, you also have to be wary of the rat men's attacks from underground. Their teeth are very sharp and can bite through iron armor. Once they bite, they won't let go and will tear off a large piece of flesh. Got it? Thank you, Lulu. Let me know if there are any new developments. Lulu's body slowly disappeared. Lin Muyu looked outside the tent and said, someone tell Wei Chou, Si Kongyao, Sidu Sen, and Fingxi to come here. Chapter 1202. Rat People? Wei Chou was a little surprised. Si Kongyao blinked her eyes and said, I have heard of this race before. When I was young, I saw some rat people in the eastern wilderness. Brother Yu, will the rat people really attack us? It seems so. Since Yao knows that the rat people have seen them before, can you tell us in detail? Yes. Si Kongyao nodded and said, the rat people are cruel by nature. Although they are called rat people, they are actually 80% beasts and 20% humans. They will eat people when they are hungry. Moreover, this race is extremely greedy. There was a rumor that wherever the rat people went, the whole village would be left with piles of white bones. They are even more terrifying than the plague. Everyone wants to avoid them. How could this Qin Yu let the wolf into the house? There is nothing that they won't do when they are forced into a corner, Sidu Sen said. Lin General, since we might have to fight with the rat people, do you have a plan? Lulu said that the rat people are afraid of fire attacks, so we need to prepare more fire starters and wrap them on the arrowheads of the white drill arrows. Once we encounter the rat people army, we will use the fire arrows to kill them. Try not to fight them in close combat, it will inevitably cause unnecessary losses. Yes, I will go prepare now. Wei Chou said, Sir, the rafts and driftwood are already prepared. They will be ready by tomorrow morning. When do we cross the river? First prepare the fire arrows. We will attack tomorrow at dawn. The rat people are creatures that fight in the night. We must take down the Qinglan River during the day and set up camp on the west side of the river. Otherwise we will be in trouble. Also, we need to get water tonight. After crossing the river, we must ensure that there is enough water. Yes. After nightfall, both sides of the river were silent. Song Liangqing's army only set up camp on the side of the river. There was no sign of them taking the initiative to attack. Even if Song Liangqing was bold, he would not dare to take the initiative to attack. After all, there was a huge difference in strength between the two sides. He knew this very well. If they were to fight with the main force of the Longdan army camp and Baizé mercenaries, there was no army in the whole continent that had more than a 30% chance of winning. Walla, walla. Amidst the sound of waves crashing against the shore, there was also a trace of moisture and the smell of the river. The temperature gradually warmed up, and the smell of the water seemed to have the feeling that all living things were coming back to life. Lin Muyu slowly walked along the riverbank, followed by a group of royal guards. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi also followed closely behind. Right now, the two girls were more like bodyguards protecting Lin Muyu, the commander-in-chief of the three armies who had yet to step into the Mahayana realm. Song Liangqing seems very confident. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and said, "He actually dares to oppose us across the river. I wonder where his confidence comes from." "Ratmen. Only ratmen can make him so fearless," Lin Muyu said. Qin Yin frowned and said, "Big brother, did you sense something?" "Yeah." Lin Muyu looked southwest and said, "My spirit pulse technique sensed a strange aura appearing in that forest. That forest is called Lush Forest on the map. Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi, let's go and check it out?" "Okay, let's go." After ordering the royal guards to return to camp, the three of them went into battle with light gear. They stepped on the water and bypassed Song Liangqing's camp, heading straight for the lush forest in the southeast. Looking from afar, the lush forest was even a little lush. This forest was mostly coniferous forest and pine and cypress, so even in the cold winter, it was still lush green. However, there was now an additional element of uncertainty in the lush forest. Lin Muyu and the others' footsteps were extremely light. They quietly entered the lush forest and then carefully groped their way forward. The three divine swords were hidden in their scabbards, not letting out any light. After walking for about 10 minutes, Lin Muyu suddenly raised her hand and signaled for them to stop. Then the three of them slowly squatted down in a damp shrub. There were damp and broken leaves all around them. The leaves had not even had time to grow because winter came too quickly and had only just begun to rot. In the distance there were no lights. They could only rely on the illumination of the stars to distinguish things. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi widened their beautiful eyes and stared into the distance. Over there, figures with stooped bodies appeared. They looked like humans, but at the same time they were not. They were about 1.5 meters tall and their skulls were a little ridiculous. Their mouths protruded forward crazily, revealing a pair of incisors, and on both sides were pairs of fangs. They were rat men. Tang Xiaoxi was a little shocked. Just as she was about to say something, Lin Muyu gently covered her mouth and signaled her with her eyes not to make a sound. Rat men's senses were very strong. If they heard anything, it would be bad. Gigi. Gigi? Gigi, Gigi, Gigi? In the distance, two rat men were talking. It was a completely incomprehensible conversation. Lin Muyu began to wonder how Qinyu had bribed these rat men. Could it be that they also talked like this? "Look," Qinin whispered. In the distance, more and more rat men appeared. Under the starlight, their expressions were extremely ferocious, and their incisors glinted with a cold light. There were more than 2,000 of them, and they seemed to cover the entire mountain. Soon after, an elder-looking rat man with white hair on his neck walked up to a small hill. He raised the staff in his hand and shouted, "No one knew what he was shouting, but the group of rat men seemed to have gone crazy and waved their hands. No, it was their claws. They were claws that could quickly dig the ground. The group of rat men began to dig the ground, causing mud to fly everywhere. Lin Muyu frowned and whispered, "They're digging holes?" Tang Xiaoxi asked, "Why are they digging holes?" "Holes are their battlefield. That's why they're digging holes." Lin Muyu signaled the two girls to retreat. She stared at the group of rat men in the forest and said, "Once our army crosses Qinglan River, I'm afraid we'll have to fight them." "Yes." The moment the three of them retreated from the forest, a scream suddenly came from the left. "Gigi, Gigi, Gigi, Gigi." It was two rat men scouts. "We've been discovered." Lin Muyu immediately said, "Don't do anything. Let me see just how strong these rat men are." After saying that, she rushed over with her bare hands. The two rat men bared their fangs and claws. Whoosh! One of them quickly pounced on Lin Muyu, its sharp claws leaving a bloody arc in the air. Lin Muyu blocked it with her arms. Bang! The sound of the attack was shocking. Judging from their strength, the rat man's strength was equivalent to that of a human realm master. Although it was far from the armor demon's monstrous strength, it was at least stronger than ordinary people. What was even more frightening was their movements. The second rat man grabbed hold of Lin Muyu's retreating step and climbed up his back. It opened its mouth and bit at the back of his neck. Lin Muyu's intention was to find out the rat folk's speed and attack methods. Now that she knew, she didn't even turn her head and punched out with her fist. In an instant, the starlight flashed, and the ratfolk's head was smashed into smithereens. Immediately after, she felt a faint pain in her wrist. It was the bite of the other ratfolk. Once it was bitten, it wouldn't let go. Sure enough, this creature's cruelty was not inferior to the armor demon. Lin Muyu lightly shook her arm. Her do chi revolved around her and shattered the rat man's head. Then she kicked the rat man's head away and retreated from the bloody mist. She said with cold eyes, "If these rat men appear in our battle formation with 100,000 of them, I'm afraid the Longdan army camp will lose more than half of their forces." "Then what do you want to do?" Qinin asked. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, "The rat men are nocturnal creatures. Yao said that during the day the rat men's vision is very poor. They can't adapt to the strong light of the sun. My plan is to quickly defeat Song Liangqing's army during the day and find the rat men's habitat before sunset. Then we will attack first and destroy the rat men army during the day." "Are you sure?" "I'm not absolutely sure, but we can only do this. We don't have enough food, so we can only quickly attack the enemy's food to replenish our own." "Mu, didn't you order Lu Bai to supervise the food supply?" "Orders are one thing, but whether we can do it or not is another." "Yes." Lin Muyu glanced at the lush forest where the mouse men were. They had dug a hole here as a place to rest. Tomorrow they would sleep in the hole for the entire day. Only at night would there be a bloody battle. The next morning, the war drums roared and the flags of the Longdan army camp and the Baizhe mercenaries were raised. Rafts were launched into the water one by one, almost covering the entire Qinglan River. Wei Chou and Si Kongyao formed the first echelon, with close to 50,000 people crossing Qinglan River. The war drums became more and more intense, and arrows fell like rain from both sides of the river. The remaining magic crystal cannons in the Longdan army camp continued to rumble and fall into the enemy camp, causing chaos. "Advance, don't retreat." Wei Chou held the Ho-Yi bow in his hand, continuously shooting the enemy archers as he loudly urged his soldiers. The densely packed infantry and shield soldiers of the Longdan army camp raised their giant shields above their heads and formed a shield formation, paddling forward with all their might. Qinglan River was not wide, and in the blink of an eye, they had already engaged in close combat with the enemy. They pulled out their steel swords and slashed wildly, while the Tianjua soldiers raised their spears and stabbed wildly at the soldiers crossing the river. In the blink of an eye, Qinglan River was almost covered in blood. Wei Chou was well versed in the art of war, and he commanded his men well. In less than 20 minutes he had successfully led his men to cross the river, and in the blink of an eye he was fighting with Song Liangqing's troops on the shore. Although Si Kongyao's troops were a little slower, the Baizhe mercenaries were also quite elite. They followed closely behind and began to go ashore. Behind them, there was an endless stream of rafts, transporting a large number of Qin army over. The sound of magic crystal crossbows and strong bows could be heard incessantly. Once the positional battle began, Song Liangqing's troops began to collapse rapidly. In terms of combat power, the Longdan army camp was much stronger than the Southern Patrol Army. Almost every soldier could fight against 3 or even 5. The battle continued until noon. Song Liangqing's troops suffered heavy losses, leaving nearly 30,000 corpses behind. They retreated to Ji City and closed their doors, refusing to fight. Lin Muyu ordered the troops to prepare for war and set up camp on the east bank. In the afternoon, barrels of black beech oil were transported over. Lin Muyu ordered Situ Sin to lead 150,000 troops to set up a defense line in the west of Ji City, blocking Song Liangqing's troops in Ji City. Then she ordered Wei Chou and Si Kongyao to send the army into Maolin. Chapter 1203. The soldiers who entered the forest were carefully selected. There were 20 people in a group. 12 of the shield-bearers formed a circular shield formation on the outside, 5 spearmen were responsible for attacking, and 3 strong archers were responsible for long-range shooting. In this way, even if such a combat team was attacked by the rat men, they would not completely collapse. Lin Muyu, Qinin, and Tang Xiaoxi also entered the forest together. They watched as barrels of black beech oil were poured into the rat holes. However, the underground rat holes extended in all directions. No one knew how many holes the ratmen had dug. The only thing they could do was pour the black beech oil into the holes or block them with large stones. The smell of the black beech oil was very pungent. Not long after, ratmen continuously rushed out of the holes, screaming and slamming into the heavy shields of the combat team. They scurried around in search of targets, but the Longdan army camp and Baizé mercenaries were too well prepared. These ratmen were covered in the black beach oil, and in the end they could not escape the fate of being hacked to death. More and more ratmen rushed out. In nearly 2 hours at least 1,000 ratmen had rushed out. They were not willing to wait for death, so they had to give it their all. Wei Chou rode his horse over and said respectfully, "All our black beach oil has been used up. Lin General, is there a fire?" "Yes." Lin Muyu nodded. "Tell the soldiers who have been stained with the black beach oil to stay away from the fire. Let's start the fire." "Yes." Wei Chou's subordinates waved the command flag and suddenly, countless torches were thrown into the holes. In an instant there was a continuous buzzing sound. The black beach oil was not an ordinary flammable material. Long flames shot out from the holes, and there were even sounds of explosions coming from underground. The ground was shaking and shaking. The intensity of this underground fire was far beyond everyone's imagination. "Be on guard," Si Kongyao ordered loudly. Across the mountains and plains, countless Qin soldiers raised up their shields, cautiously looking at all the burning holes. Very soon, clumps of raging fire surged out from the ground. They were the ratmen, their bodies covered in fire. Wei Chou quickly shot one arrow at a time and shouted, "Don't get close to them, shoot them from afar or stab them with your spears." Arrows rained down like rain, and every combat team fought for themselves, shooting out arrows. However, the ratfolk's charge was incredibly powerful, and they didn't immediately die from the fire. Instead, they continued to attack the surrounding shield formations. Very quickly, shield formations were broken through one after another, and soldiers fell into the sea of fire, screaming in pain. Lin Muyu unsheathed her sword and rushed out. Sword chi wreaked havoc, killing a large number of ratmen. Qinin, Tang Xiaoxi, Zhulong, Feng Zhanlin, and the others also moved out. The more ratmen they killed, the less soldiers they would have to sacrifice. The battle continued until dusk. The entire forest was filled with a burnt smell. The wounded soldiers all returned to camp. Under Lin Muyu's orders, a defensive line was set up around the forest. Just a quick calculation. Si Kongyao walked over with her blood-stained longsword in hand, saying, "There are more than 13,000 rat men corpses outside. I'm not sure about the ones inside the cave, but it's clear that this isn't the full strength of the rat men." Lin Muyu nodded. "No need to calculate. There are more than 60,000 rat men corpses in the cave. Adding them together, there are about 80,000 rat men corpses. That is to say, another 20,000 rat men escaped, or these rat men didn't come to the forest. By the way, did you find a rat man with a white scarf among the corpses?" "You mean the white-collar rat man king?" "Oh? He's called the white-collar rat man king?" "Yes." Si Kongyao smiled faintly and said, "Because the fur on its neck is white, it's like it's wearing a white collar, so it's called the white-collar rat king. For now, the corpses are all burnt, so it's impossible to identify the rat king. It's even more impossible to explore the cave, so I've already ordered all the entrances to be sealed." "You must be careful tonight," Lin Muyu said worriedly. "Maybe tonight the remaining Ratman army will take revenge on us. Order all the battalions to be on alert. All soldiers sleep on their weapons. Prepare white arrows and fire arrows. Once the Ratmen appear, kill them immediately." "Yes." This night, of course, would not be simple. The Ratman army had suffered such a big loss in the forest. It was impossible for them not to take revenge. After all, the Ratmen were wild beasts, and the revenge of wild beasts was the most terrifying. At night, the bright moon hung in the sky. After dinner, Lin Muyu couldn't sleep, so she personally patrolled the camp with a few royal guards. In fact, Wei Chou, Si Kongyao, Sidu Sen and the others didn't sleep either. The possibility of being attacked tonight was too high, so no one dared to sleep. By the latter half of the night, most of the soldiers in the camp had fallen into a deep sleep. After a day of battle, their physical strength had been exhausted, and they were truly exhausted. Lin Muyu walked to the edge of the camp and suddenly stopped. She looked at the ground. "Marshal, what's wrong?" one of the royal guards asked. Lin Muyu carefully sensed the fluctuations from the spiritual pulse technique and said, "The Ratmen are here. At least tens of thousands of them have arrived. Soon their caves will be under our feet. Immediately pass down the order, beat the drums as a signal, and prepare to meet the enemy." "Yes." The signal flare soared into the sky, and the camp was lit up. The sleeping soldiers woke up one by one. One by one, they walked out of the camp and quickly formed into 20-people combat teams. "The Ratmen are here." Sure enough, the sound of the earth moving continuously came from the ground. Boom. In an instant, dozens of soldiers fell down together. The ground under their feet was dug out, and the people who fell down screamed in pain. Almost instantly they were bitten to death by a group of locust-like ratmen. One after another, more and more holes appeared under the camp, and the ratmen flew out, pouncing on the soldiers in a densely packed manner. Shoot, kill them all. The sound of arrows being released could be heard everywhere, but the ratmen had strong vitality. They were injured but not dead. They still waved their sharp claws and roared as they charged at the people. In the midst of the chaos, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi appeared at the center of the camp. There were the most ratmen there. The marshal's tent had already been occupied. The bodies of 2 royal guards were lying among the ratmen. A ratman wearing a white scarf screamed at the people. It was the white-collar ratman king. He finally appeared. From the big hole behind the ratman king, a large number of ratmen swarmed into the camp. Soon they gathered into a large group. There were tens of thousands of them. As expected, we are going to have a hard battle. Wei Chao's eyes were indifferent. Lin Muyu held the long sword in her hand and said in a low voice, Xiaoyin, Xiaoxi, hold the line. Everyone else step aside. Let the first demon camp face them head-on. Archers aim and shoot. Shield formation, block all the ratmen in the middle. Yes, Marshal. Everyone shouted. Giant shields that were taller than a person formed a line. After the cavalry stepped aside, there was a group of armor demons carrying battle axes, war hammers, and spears behind them. The eyes of the armor demons were blood-red and filled with killing intent. After a roar, they began to fight with the ratman army. In terms of strength, the armor demons were far above the ratmen. Moreover, their bodies were covered with hard shells that the ratmen could not bite through. It could even be said that the armor demons were the natural nemesis of the ratmen. In the air, the broken bodies of the ratmen were flying in the air. The stench of blood filled everyone's noses. Wei Chou personally led the archery battalion to kill them. They avoided the first demon camp and directly rained arrows on the group of ratmen. Although the ratman king ordered to break through several times, he could not break through the defense of the shield formation. As a result, their aggressive attack on the camp became like a turtle in a jar. Jijijia. Jijijia. The ratman king roared fiercely. Not good, they want to escape. Si Kongyao shouted. But Lin Muyu smiled and said, they can't escape. As soon as he finished speaking, the king's battle flame surged from his 5 fingers, and the invisible elephant technique was activated. An awe-inspiring heavenly might descended from the sky, and with a ping sound, the hole that the Rat King had led the Ratman army through was crushed. Streaks of fiery light appeared in the sky, and they were the figures of the Xingtian heavenly army. Kill them all, don't leave a single one alive. Lin Muyu said in a low voice. Tens of thousands of ratmen were killed by the arrows. Very few of them escaped. Basically, they were all killed by the white diamond arrows. This battle didn't end until dawn. The Qin army won. The Ratman King's head was chopped off by Lin Muyu and sent to Song Liangqing in Ji City as a gift. After a short rest in the morning, Lin Muyu issued an order. Wei Chou led 100,000 soldiers and went around the mountains from the forest. They blocked the Ji City's retreat from the east. The 2 armies completely surrounded Ji City. Within a day they cut off the Ji City's food supply and all the reinforcements. In the afternoon, a cool breeze was blowing. On the lush mountain ridge, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the others looked into the distance. They had a panoramic view of Ji City. This was only a small city with a population of less than 100,000. It couldn't afford to support Song Liangqing's 150,000 Southern Patrol Army. If they defended Ji City to the death, it would be a dead end. In the sound of horse hooves, a royal guard galloped over. Your Highness, Marshal Song Liangqing sent a letter. Give it to me. Yes. Lin Muyu opened the letter and glanced at it. She said, Song Liangqing seems to want to sue for peace. Sidu Sin asked, what kind of peace? As long as Wei Chou gives way to the east of Ji City, he's willing to lead the Southern Patrol Army to retreat to the east and give up Ji City. Moreover, he'll give us 700,000 dawn of food and fodder, as well as 5,000 caddies of gold. Marshal, what do you mean? Sidu Sin asked with a hint of worry. Lin Muyu smiled. There was some grace in her smile, but there was more hatred. She said, Song Liangqing set up an ambush and killed my Su Jiantao in Bugu Mountain. Does he think that it's so easy to write off this debt? Pass the order, we'll start attacking the city tomorrow. Wei Chou will defend the east to the death. Don't let any of Song Liangqing's men escape. We don't need any captives in this battle. Anyone whose hands are stained with the blood of Su Jiantao and our brothers in the Longdan army camp will be killed without mercy. I want to slaughter everyone in this city to comfort Su Jiantao's soul in heaven. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Situ Sin knelt on the ground with tears in his eyes. He said, I asked to be the vanguard. If I can kill these bastards and avenge Su Jiantao, I, Situ Sin, will die without regret. Lin Muyu nodded and said, Qin Yu and Yangshang always think that we are Western barbarians. Then, let them see the ferocity of our Qin Empire's revenge? Yes. Chapter 1204. On the northern front, after receiving Lin Muyu's message, Feng Jixing ordered the army to abandon the various passes and fortresses within 3 days. The entire army retreated and defended within a radius of 100 kilometers from Shiping City. The massive army of 500,000 made it impossible for the enemy to continue attacking. Yangshang had originally planned to feign an attack, so he left resentfully. The 200,000-strong Tianjue army under Qin Yu's personal command took the opportunity to enter the Huiyuan province and began the difficult journey of advancing or retreating. The Huiyuan province was the site of 3 battles. It was adjacent to East Kam province to the north and Xishan province to the west. Feng Jixing and Qin Yu could attack at any time, but Qin Yu could no longer retreat even if he wanted to. He could only defend the Huiyuan province and wait for the right time to change. June 17th. Everything began to recover. The trees and vegetation on the mountains began to sprout green buds. The sunny weather lasted for nearly half a month, and it seemed that spring had arrived. On such a sunny day, the Longdan army camp quickly attacked the Ji city. The entire western city wall of the Ji city was covered in artillery fire and crossbow arrows. Situ Sin personally led the Longdan army camp to attack the city. This was the second day. The western city wall of the Ji city was already riddled with holes. The city gate had also begun to loosen. The city wall was also stained with blood, some from the Southern Patrol Army, and some from the Longdan army camp. This battle was very tragic. Both sides suffered many casualties. After a fierce attack in the morning, the attack camp retreated. They were still unable to take down the city wall. Situ Sin's face was covered in blood. He had even rushed up the city wall, but he was still forced back by the Southern Patrol Army's heavy military power. There was a new scar on his handsome face. It was a sword wound. Marshal, give me another half a day. I will definitely take down the western city wall. He said with cupped fists. Don't be anxious. Lin Muyu waved her hand. Someone give him a seat. General Sun can rest for a while. How many people have we lost in the past 2 days? About 3,000. That's too many. Lin Muyu frowned and said, I just received news that the 3rd batch of supplies from Winterfrost City has arrived at the front line. In about 4 hours, 30,000 magic crystal cannons will be delivered to the battlefield, so don't be in a hurry to attack. When the magic crystal cannons arrive, we can knock on the city gate without bloodshed. Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi will help you break the city. Once the city wall is breached, it will be urban warfare. I will leave Jia Demon Camp and Blade Shield Camp to you. You must end the battle in Ji City within 3 days and wipe out Song Liangqing's Southern Patrol Army. Also don't let Song Liangqing go. Send Wing Liangqing. Yes, I understand. Marshal, please put it down. At dusk, the first batch of magic crystal cannons was transported across the Qinglan River with difficulty. Situ Sen's next wave of attack was launched. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi personally supervised the battle. They rode on their war horses and watched the siege from afar. Dong, 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 the war drums thundered as if beating on everyone's heart. The soldiers of the Southern Patrol Army on the city wall were also exhausted, but no one dared to slack off. They all knew that the army attacking the city was the Southern Patrol Army's mortal enemy, the legendary Longdan Army Camp, which had been shot and killed by Commander Su Jiantao. Once the city was breached, there would be no chance of survival. They are coming again. A captaincy wiped his blood-stained steel saber and said. Song Liangqing held onto the battlements and his eyes were cold. His Majesty ordered us to wait for reinforcements. There will definitely be reinforcements. No one should retreat. Defend the city wall with your lives. They have run out of cannons, so they won't be able to breach the city wall so easily. We must defend Ji City even if we have to fight to the last man. Do you understand? Yes, Deputy Commander. Everyone shouted in unison. However, at this moment, the cannons of the Longdan army camp in the distance suddenly spat out tongues of fire. Immediately after, magic crystal cannons fell on the city wall one after another, blooming flowers of death. Then a storm swept through the city wall, forcing everyone to retreat. This round of bombardment had actually made the western city wall shake. Even the iron gate made of fine steel had been burned red, and it seemed like it would not be able to hold on any longer. Damn it. Song Liangqing gripped his long sword tightly and looked up at the sky, only to find that the heavenly Xingtian army riding on phoenixes were cruising in the sky. They had long controlled the air control of the entire battlefield. Not to mention breaking out of the encirclement, even a demon like Song Liangqing would not be able to escape so easily. Deputy Commander, what should we do? The group of captaincy panicked. Prepare for urban warfare. Song Liangqing held his long sword and said, Don't panic. G City is our city. We are more familiar with everything in G City. Order the soldiers in the city to prepare for battle. We still have 150,000 men and horses. We can hold on for at least 10 days in urban warfare. 10 days. The reinforcements from Scorching Han City should have arrived long ago. Yes. Creak. Creak. In the distance, the huge iron gate of the western city gate was burned red and distorted, making unpleasant twisting sounds. After a round of bombardment, Sidu Sen had already ordered the assault battalion to attack again. Lin Muyu watched from afar and said, Xiaoyin, are you confident that you can break the gate with one strike? Yes. Qini nodded. Go and help the assault battalion break the gate. Next, it's Sidu Sen's job. All right. Qin leaped up and transformed into a stream of light that flew to the front of the city wall. Immediately, a group of soldiers from the Longdan army camp recognized her and were all astonished. Look, it's Her Highness the Empress. Why is Her Highness here? Her Highness? Is she cheering for us? Just when everyone was excited, Qin raised her hand and pulled out the Donghua sword. With a soft groan, the Mahayana heaven's power surrounded her body and a vast power of order was infused into the long sword. She instantly activated Shi Yan's 7 strikes and slashed at the city gate. Boom. The sword aura turned into a biting cold storm that instantly tore the huge city gate into pieces. It even split a huge gap in the city wall. The sword aura passed through the city wall and flew straight into the main road of the city. In an instant, it engulfed the southern patrol soldiers who were guarding the city and preparing for battle. Immediately, screams rose into the sky. This sword was incomparably destructive, and it almost shocked the southern patrol soldiers with just one strike. For a moment, the southern patrol soldiers inside and outside the city were stunned. This wasn't a power that belonged to humans. It was the power of a Mahayana heaven's god. On the other hand, the assault battalion soldiers from the Longdan army camp raised their weapons and shields and shouted, The Empress is mighty! Long live the Empress! Under Situ Sen's command, thousands of people swarmed into the city and fought with the southern patrol soldiers. The southern patrol soldiers were almost unable to resist the footsteps of the Longdan army camp. Most of the battle formations collapsed upon contact. Whether it was combat power or tactics, they were far inferior, and it was impossible for them to compete with the Longdan army camp on the battlefield. The Longdan army camp was a division that had been through hundreds of battles, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say that the southern patrol soldiers were a motley crew. Moreover, at this time, everyone in the Longdan army camp was only thinking about revenge and fighting spirit. This was something that the southern patrol soldiers couldn't compare to. Qin returned to the center of the army and landed gently beside Lin Muyu. Xiaoyin, the power of this sword is really amazing, Lin Muyu praised. Qin smiled faintly and said, If Xiaoxi used this sword, the power might not be weaker than mine. Tang Xiaoxi smiled faintly and didn't say anything. After a few seconds, Qin said, Brother Yu, since you have decided to annihilate Song Liangqing's troops, why didn't you order to bombard G City and use the magic crystal cannons to turn G City into a pile of ruins? Lin Muyu nodded and said, There are 2 reasons why I did this. First, there are too few magic crystal cannons in stock and we can't waste them casually. There are still countless city gates waiting for us to break through after G City. Second, there are still 100,000 civilians in G City, and I don't want to let 100,000 civilians die because of my momentary anger. In this battle, I will only kill the southern patrol soldiers and not the civilians. Qin smiled faintly and said, So you haven't changed. I'm relieved. Lin Muyu began to summon a Catasaurus and said, Xiaoyin Xiaoxi, let's go to the sky and overlook the entire battlefield. Block the sky and don't let Song Liangqing escape. In addition, order Wei Chao's troops to attack together. They will attack from the front and the back so that Song Liangqing will have no way out. Okay. In fact, Song Liangqing didn't plan to escape. The Southern Patrol Army was his life and everything to him. Once the Southern Patrol Army was annihilated, Song Liangqing's life would come to an end. Without the inferior demon god of the Southern Patrol Army, such a commander without an army was nothing. Chen Yu wouldn't put him in an important position, and Lin Muyu would chase after him at all costs. It would be better to die if that happened. Situ Sen had already led the assault battalion into the city. In terms of the ability to fight in the streets, the barbarian warriors were the best in the world, while the Jia Demon Battalion was the second best. However, these two battalions were now in the hands of Lin Muyu. It was only a matter of time before they annihilated the Southern Patrol Army. The street battle lasted from the afternoon of the 17th until the morning of the 19th. There were traces of fighting everywhere in the city. Song Liangqing had 150,000 troops, so it wasn't easy to kill them all. For 3 days the whole city was covered with blood and corpses. The Southern Patrol Army who had lost the ability to fight back were all killed. In this battle, Lin Muyu ordered that no captives would be kept, and no surrender would be accepted. Therefore, the Southern Patrol Army had no choice but to put up a futile and weak resistance before they died. The second team to enter the city was the 3,000 Imperial Guards and more than 100 Imperial Guards who were responsible for protecting Qinin. At this time, the Imperial Guards took on the responsibility of maintaining order in the city. They eliminated all the Southern Patrol Army who disguised themselves as civilians and threatened the civilians. At the same time, they put up notices to pacify the civilians. All the civilians who gathered in the city square would be protected and given food and water. Lin Muyu rode a warhorse and accompanied Tang Xiaoxi, Qinin, and Si Kongyao into the city slowly. The air was filled with the smell of blood, which made people feel uncomfortable. The sun had just risen, bringing a wisp of warmth to people. Found him. Situ Sen's excited voice came from afar. Lin General, we caught Song Liangqing. Where is he? Bring him here immediately. Surrounded by the crowd, a person could be seen being escorted by dozens of people. His hands were shackled by the demonic heartstone and he had lost his divine power. There were still a few arrows trembling in his chest. Obviously, he was shot by the demonic heart arrow and lost the power of the demonic flame before he was caught. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy for Situ Sen and the other ordinary people to catch a lower-ranked demon god. Chapter 1205. Kneel. Situ Sen kicked him heavily. Instantly, Song Liangqing knelt in the mud in a sorry state. He raised his head and saw Lin Muyu in a marshal's cloak. You're Lin Muyu? Song Liangqing asked. Yes. Ha ha ha. Song Liangqing laughed maniacally. What are you laughing at? Lin Muyu asked. Song Liangqing's eyes were bloodshot as he said, I'm laughing at how I didn't catch you back then, but caught a mere Su Jiantao instead. Otherwise, the one kneeling here should be you, Lin Muyu. Is that so? Lin Muyu smiled faintly. Do you feel proud of killing Su Jiantao? Yes. Su Jiantao is also my pride. Lin Muyu dismounted from the horse and slowly walked forward. A dignified aura circulated around her, and her hand, which was holding the hilt of her sword, trembled slightly. Song Liangqing sneered. Why do you want revenge? Do you want to pretend to be the victor? Do you think you are the side of justice? You're nothing and you guys are nothing. You're just thieves who invade other countries' territories. And you're just an executioner, a despicable executioner. I don't offend thieves, but thieves will offend me. Lin Muyu's voice was very soft. She looked straight at Song Liangqing and said faintly, 2 years ago the celestial pole continent's invasion of the Shattered Cauldron realm proved everything. And you're right. I can't represent justice. There's no justice in war. I'm just an executioner whose hands are stained with blood. But once I, this executioner, unify the celestial pole continent, I'll rule the country according to the Constitution. I'll let the world be peaceful and stay away from war. And you guys, you're just a bunch of beasts who only know how to rob and play with women. If you want to kill, then kill. Why are you talking so much? Song Liangqing, on the other hand, was full of pride. He raised his head and said, I will never regret shooting Su Jiantao. If I were given another chance, I would do the same thing. You won't have such a chance. Lin Muyu raised her hand and said to Situ Shui, Ah Shui, bring me Su Jiantao's sword. Situ Shui walked over with a broken sword in her hands. Lin Muyu grabbed the hilt of her sword and abruptly raised her leg, kicking Song Liangqing to the ground. She stepped on his back, causing him to kneel on the ground. She indifferently said, "You are not worthy to speak his name. Go to hell." The broken sword was gently placed on the back of Song Liangqing's neck. Instantly, a faint chill seeped into his body. Song Liangqing couldn't help but shiver. He started to regret for no reason. He trembled and said, "Lin Muyu, must you kill me?" Swoosh. She raised the broken sword and quickly swung it down. Instantly blood splattered. However, this sword had killed countless enemies before Su Jiantao died in battle. It was already blunt and there were many dents on the blade. Lin Muyu's sword didn't completely sever Song Liangqing's neck. Instead, her hand was stained with blood. Hence, she raised the broken sword and swung it again. After 3 consecutive slashes, only 1/3 of Song Liangqing's head was still attached to his body. Situ Sin stepped forward and kicked. Pa! Song Liangqing's head rolled along the ground. Just like that, the deputy marshal of the Celestial Empire and the commander of the Southern Patrol was beheaded. Lin Muyu took a handkerchief from Qin Yin and wiped the blood on her hand. She looked at Song Liangqing's body and said, "Do I look like an executioner?" No. Qin Yin murmured and shook her head. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. After returning the broken sword to Situ Shui, she said, "Put Song Liangqing's head in a wooden box. 7 days later, send it to Qinyu in Huiyuan province. Tell him to cut off his head and put it in the box. I will use these 2 heads to pay tribute to Su Jiantao's spirit." Yes. Situ Sin gave a fist salute and sent someone to carry it out. On the other hand, Situ Shui said, "Marshal, there are still more than 3,000 Southern Patrol soldiers trapped in the alley at the East City Gate. They are begging to surrender. What should we do? Shoot them all?" "Yes," Situ Shui nodded and said, "Among them a few are Song Liangqing's counselors. Should we kill them too?" "No, keep them. They are still useful." "Okay." The Battle of G City ended quietly. The outside world didn't even know about it. At night, the 3 armies rested and reorganized. G City was very quiet. "I heard that Sir left a few Song Liangqing's counselors alive. I wonder why." Wei Chou said with a rice bowl in his hand. There was a table full of good dishes in the meeting hall. All the generals who had performed meritorious deeds were eating here. Although it was bloody outside, everyone had a good appetite. After all, they had been in the army for so many years. Seeing dead people was like having a meal. Lin Muyu also held a bowl and said, "Qinyu thought that he could rely on Song Liangqing's Southern Patrol and the Rat Men army to hold me back, but he would never have thought that we would break into G City and destroy the Rat Men army and the Southern Patrol in just 5 days. The Celestial Empire has a vast territory and abundant resources, but most of the army is gathered in Scorching Han City. As far as I know, the Terminating Earth Corps is also in Scorching Han City. Together with the various garrisons in various places, Scorching Han City has at least 500,000 soldiers. As long as we can defeat these 500,000 soldiers, Qinyu will be at the end of his road." Wei Chou frowned and said, "Sir, do you plan to destroy the 500,000 soldiers of Scorching Han City with our 200,000 soldiers?" "Yes." Lin Muyu said, "This is the reason why I left behind Song Liangqing's strategists. I want to use these strategists to lure Zhou Binlong out of Scorching Han City." "Oh." Lu Bai held his bowl and asked. Lin Muyu smiled, "Let these strategists write a letter asking for help. Say that there is a war in G City, but there is enough food and military equipment, and the Southern Patrol can still hold on for a month. Furthermore, the Longdan army camp has suffered heavy losses in the past few days, and they have lost more than 100,000 soldiers. With such a big bait, I don't believe that Zhou Binlong can resist leading the Terminating Earth Corps to reinforce them. Once the Terminating Earth Corps reinforcements, we can take advantage of the situation to set up ambushes along the way and destroy the Terminating Earth Corps in one fell swoop. Then we can change into the Terminating Earth Corps' flag and uniform and kill our way to Scorching Han City and destroy Chen Yu's nest." Everyone was shocked. To them, Lin Muyu's plan was too daring. If it was an ordinary person, they would not even dare to think of it. Feng Shi frowned. "Marshal, Scorching Han City is 800 miles away from here. If we were to travel a long distance, I'm afraid that we will suffer heavy losses. Furthermore, we will be deep behind the enemy lines and might be surrounded." "Yes, it's just a suggestion." Lin Muyu nodded. "Intercepting and killing the Terminating Earth Corps is the first step. Quickly attacking Scorching Han City is the second step. If we want to be safe, we will only take the first step. Furthermore, this first step must be taken. This general agrees. Wei Chou put down his bowl and cupped his fists and smiled. Zhou Binlong is not some scholarly general. It is impossible for him to not be anxious when he has military merits. Furthermore, the Terminating Earth Corps under his command is the second strongest army in the Celestial Empire. Destroying the Terminating Earth Corps will be a heavy blow to the Celestial Empire. Situ Sen and Fengshi also raised their heads. Lin Muyu said, then prepare to carry it out after eating. Strictly seal off the news around G City. Don't let even a fly out. In addition, prepare the army for war. Once there is news of the Terminating Earth Corps, report to me immediately. Yes. At night, the flames of war in G City had just been extinguished. The surrounding dozens of miles were filled with camps. The bonfires in the camps formed a sea of stars. The gods and demons in the sky, the mortals on the ground, and the vast land. It made people wonder who was the ruler. Western Divine Realm Training Academy's underground secret chamber. The light was faintly discernible. Terralyn, who was sitting on the ground, suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. She slowly opened her eyes, which shone with a golden light. The four wings behind her slowly stretched out and she smiled in surprise. Have I regained the power of a battle angel? You know this the best. Shi Yin smiled. Beside her, Eva said, all right, now that even the last one has awakened the power of a battle angel, shouldn't we old gods declare war against the enemies who invaded our homeland? Yes. Shi Yin murmured, only by raising the banner of our Western Divine Realm in the Radiant Temple can we attract more people to join us and fight against the power of the Demon Realm. Li Fei said, the Radiant Temple has 5,000 Mara guarding it. How are we going to take it back? Shi Yin glanced at everyone and said, we have 7 gods. Eva and I have recovered about 80% of our powers. Li Fei, Terralyn, the two of you have recovered about 60% of your powers. That's enough. 7 gods are enough to destroy these 5,000 Mara. But we can't do it at night. We have to fight under the rising sun tomorrow morning. Yes, Lady Shi Yin. The next morning, when the first ray of sunlight fell on the Radiant Temple, the nocturnal Mara were already drowsy. However, they were destined to not be able to sleep peacefully that day. Rays of light representing angels fell in front of the Radiant Temple, and battle cries rose into the sky. Shi Yin and Eva, the 2 seraphs, opened the way and slaughtered the Mara army. In less than 10 minutes, the only holy king of the Mara army, Charlevon, was injured by Shi Yan's sword and fled the Western Divine Realm in a hurry. Meanwhile, only a few hundred of the 5,000 Mara were left, and the Radiant Temple was finally back in the hands of the angels. After taking over the Radiant Temple, Shi Yin used the Star Cavern to send an oracle to the various planes under the jurisdiction of the Western Divine Realm, ordering them to do their best to protect the Radiant Temple. 3 days later. While Shi Yin and Eva were still asleep, a rumbling whistling sound suddenly came from the air. The angels rushed out of the temple and saw huge objects slowly descending from the distance. They were actually interstellar battleships. In the era of the old gods, this kind of interstellar battleship was looked down upon by Claude, Shi Yin, and the others. But now, seeing these big guys, they actually felt a sense of familiarity. Terralyn was ecstatic and said, This is the flying ship of our light clan. The battleship slowly opened the hatch and an old figure walked out surrounded by everyone. He said respectfully, the light clan is here to report to the 2 seraphs, Shi Yin and Eva. Unfortunately, we have lost our divine power and can only rely on this means of transportation to come here. Please don't take offense. Terralyn smiled and threw herself into his arms. Father. Shi Yin and Eva looked at each other and smiled. It might be difficult for an interstellar battleship to fight against Mara, but it was better than nothing. Chapter 1206. Demon Realm, Fecta Temple. Has the entire evil Luo army set off? Zi Yin stood in the temple department, looking down on all directions. Yes. Holy King Baifeng said respectfully, isn't Lord Ancestor Emperor going to lead the Mara army personally? No need. Zi Yin glanced at the god-destroying pagoda in his hand. There was a faint golden luster around the pagoda, like a divine weapon that was not yet fully refined. The ancient crack on the god-destroying pagoda has not completely healed, and its power is not at its peak. Otherwise, how could it not have killed gods like Tang Xiaoxi and Qinin? I must stay in the demon realm and continue to cultivate the god-destroying pagoda. Holy King Baifeng, You and the 2 holy emperors shall head to the 6 realms to quell the chaos. The more people you kill, the more spirits I can collect in the demon realm, and the faster the god-destroying pagoda will be repaired. Yes. Bai Feng took another look at Ziyan. Then, Ancestor Emperor, I shall leave the demon realm? Go and come back alive. Yes. Bai Feng floated away, his figure quickly disappearing into the wind. In terms of lightness skill, there were not many in the demon realm who could be compared to Bai Feng. Even the world-destroying Holy Emperor and Juju Holy Emperor might not be able to beat him. In the Chaos Realm, the light energy of the broken 6 realms seal danced in the air. Dong dong dong, the sound of the war drums thundered. Ancient giant beasts flew out from the Devil Realm. The Devil Luo on the back of the giant beasts beat the war drums with all its might. The sky was densely packed with 2-winged Devil Luos. In just half a day, countless Devil Realm armies had entered the chaotic realm. Their next targets were the 4 heaven realms, as well as the tens of thousands of planes in the mortal realm. The demon realm was powerful, and Ziyin had planned to unify the 6 realms from the start. At the same time, the golden light was peaceful. Fuxi and his 4 disciples looked solemnly at the scene of the demon realm troops in the illusion pond. Everyone was so depressed that they could not speak. Master. Miue furrowed her brows and said, the demon world is staking it all on this one throw. What should we do? The number of righteous gods in the Mahayana heavenly Tao can be counted on one hand, but the power of the demon world is frighteningly strong. The strength of this divine war is extremely unequal. Fuxi raised his head and looked at the sky. There were layers of clouds and the sound of thunder could be vaguely heard. He sighed and said, as the demonic realm grows stronger, the demonic beast underworld servant will also become stronger. He will attack the metal more frequently. Once the metal is breached, the heavenly Tao of Mahayana will be shaken. When the heavenly melody scroll loses its footing, the 6 realms will truly be finished. What can we do now? Guard gold. Fuxi looked into the distance and said, and wait for the changes in the mortal world. I hope that you can comprehend the heavenly Tao of Mahayana as soon as possible. With his aptitude, once he comprehends the heavenly Tao of Mahayana, the power of the 6 realms against the demon realm will be greatly boosted. Don't be distracted, the demon beast underworld servant is coming, prepare to set up the formation. Yes. Sword chi and divine power surged in the sky as a huge, resplendent sword shot into the sky and clashed with the demonic beast, the Dark Servant. This battle between gods and demons had been going on for a long time, but mortals were unable to pry into the secrets of metal, nor did they know that there were gods from beyond the heavens fighting for them above metal. June 22nd, drizzling. It had been drizzling for 3 consecutive days, but it was more like a spring rain that nourished everything. People could even hear the sound of tender sprouts breaking through the soil. On the mountain ridge outside G City, a peach forest had already budded and was about to bloom. All living beings had finally waited for the day of revival. Under the peach tree was the temporary military camp set up by Lin Muyu. In order to prepare for the attack, the Longdan army camp did not stay in G City. Instead, it was in the east of the city ready to go at any time. Thud, thud, thud. Amidst the sound of hooves, a light rider galloped up the mountain. His face was full of excitement. He held a military report in his hand and said, Marshal Military Report from Scorching Han City. Read it. On the 20th, Zhou Binlong sent an order from the military camp in the south of Scorching Han City to send reinforcements to G City. There are 350,000 soldiers, including 200,000 from the Dijue military force and 150,000 from the Far East military force from the 5 provinces in the eastern region. There are a total of 120,000 cavalrymen and 230,000 infantrymen. The marching speed is about 100 miles per day. It is estimated that they will arrive at G City in 8 days. Which route is it taking? The fastest route is to cross Zilin and Hanyan provinces and directly reinforce G City from the south of Hanyan province. Maybe, the cavalrymen will arrive a few days earlier. Alright, you may leave. Send the order to continue to gather information. Yes. After the messenger left, Wei Chou frowned and said, they came so quickly. It seems that Zhou Binlong is determined to win. Our false report is working. Lin Muyu smiled. The 350,000 soldiers in Zhou Binlong's hands are the elites of the Celestial Empire. As long as we take down this army, it is almost equivalent to destroying half of the Celestial Empire. I will inform General Feng to restrain Qinyu from the western battlefield so that his Tianjue military force can't leave. This way we can succeed. Feng Shi said, Where does the marshal plan to choose the battlefield? Lin Muyu looked down at the map and said, I have been thinking about it for a few days. We will leave Ji City and march 300 kilometers north. That is the Hanyan wasteland in the north of Hanyan province. A day ago, I went to the Hanyan wasteland to survey the terrain. The entire wasteland is very open, but there is a pass in the south that is suitable for blocking. There are 2 key points in the west and east of the wasteland that can ambush our cavalrymen. This way we can use the magic crystal cannons and the infantry to block the enemy head-on and force them to engage in battle. When the battle is in a stalemate, the nearly 120,000 cavalrymen lying in ambush in the east and west will launch an assault and destroy the formation of Zhou Binlong's 350,000 soldiers in one fell swoop. The rest is a hard battle. Fengshi took a deep breath and said, the terrain of the Hanyan wasteland is indeed suitable for ambush, but choosing this battlefield is destined to be a hard battle. I am afraid that even if we defeat the strong enemy, our losses will not be small. I know, but this is the fastest way to solve the Celestial Empire. Otherwise, when everything recovers and the 5 grains are harvested, the Celestial Empire will have an endless supply of military food, and the soldiers of the Qin Empire will have to fight on an empty stomach. Speed is the most important thing in war. Getting rid of the Qinjua military force within half a month is our most effective way to win. Yes, I understand. Fengshi cupped his fists. Wei Chou also cupped his fists and said, Marshal, please give the order. Longdan Army Camp, the 120,000 cavalries of the Baizhe mercenaries will set off tomorrow morning with 5 days of rations and water. We will head towards the Hanyan wasteland through the dense forest and set up an ambush at the east and west valleys. Remember to move stealthily, do not go on the main road, and do not be discovered by the enemy's eagles and war eagles. Fengshi will lead 60,000 cavalries to set up an ambush at the west pass, Wei Chou will lead 60,000 cavalries to set up an ambush at the east pass, and the rest, 150,000 infantrymen will follow me tomorrow at noon. We will travel 100 miles a day, and set up camp in the southern forest of the Hanyan wasteland 300 miles away. Situ Sen said, Marshal, 150,000 infantrymen marching with great fanfare, I am afraid we will be discovered by the enemy's spies. What if Zhou Binlong changes his mind? Don't worry. Lin Muyu smiled, that is to let their spies discover our main force of infantrymen. We only have 150,000, Zhou Binlong will definitely want to devour our main force. Furthermore, there is no turning back, Zhou Binlong has already led the army out, he cannot turn back. Zhou Binlong must understand this simple logic, once he turns back, his morale will plummet, and they will lose without even fighting. Sikong Yao blinked her eyes and said, Zhou Binlong is a valiant general, and the Terminus Earth Army under him is a strong army. Adding the garrisons of the few provinces in the Far East, as well as the Cold Smoke Province and Zilin Province's garrisons added together, this battle will definitely be a tough one. Brother, have you made your plans? Lin Muyu nodded his head, he grabbed the red stone that represented the End of Earth Army on the map, and with a light clench of his fingers he crushed the stone and said, The End of Earth Army is a strong dragon. If we do not fight a tough battle to destroy them, how can Qinyu be convinced? Wei Chou asked, then, should we keep any captives? Yes, try to minimize losses. Yes. Time passed quickly. 3 days later, the Longdan Army Camp, Baizhe mercenaries and Armor Demon Camp's 170,000 soldiers under Lin Muyu's personal command arrived at the Hanyan wasteland, and lined up at the mountain pass. At the same time, over 100 heavy magic crystal cannons were pushed to the front lines. The cold wind blew, and within 2 days Zhou Binlong's 350,000 soldiers would arrive, and then it would be an unprecedented decisive battle. At night, the starlight shone on the plains. Lin Muyu brought Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Si Kongyao to the fertile plains, to survey the terrain and to relax. Luckily it did not rain these 2 days. Lin Muyu looked at the deep marks of the magic crystal cannons on the ground and said, if it had rained, the magic crystal cannons would have been stuck in the grass and could not be transported. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and said, we should be thanking Zhou Binlong for his cooperation. Yes. Lin Muyu looked at the plains in the distance and said, there is no end to this place and the field of vision is very wide. Our cavalry ambushes in the east and west are at least 30 li away, and Zhou Binlong would never have thought that we would ambush so far away, so when his cavalry encountered our infantry on the plains, they naturally could not help but attack. As he said, he smiled and said, as long as Zhou Binlong wants to make a contribution, then he will lose. Si Kongyao giggled and said, as a general, it is impossible for him not to want to make a contribution. Qinin looked at the bright sky and said, "It would be great if it was that smooth." "What is it, Xiaoyin, did you sense something?" Lin Muyu asked. "I don't know." Qin Yin's delicate face was filled with worry and said, "It is just that. I feel that the order of the laws has become a bit chaotic, and something must have happened to the 6 worlds." "What do you mean?" "I am worried that the Devil World has already launched a large-scale attack on the 6 worlds. Once they enter the 6 worlds, their army will definitely infiltrate the Celestial Pole continent. This is the change that I am worried about." Lin Muyu muttered to himself and sighed and said, "Man proposes but God disposes. I have done all that I can, and the rest will depend on the will of heaven." That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.